We live. Welcome everybody to another episode of the Break the Rules stream. I am Lev Polyakov at Lev Po on Twitter. We've got honorary Hotep Giovanni Pennacchietti in the house.
Assalamu alaikum, my brothers. Thank you.
And we have, for the very first time, Brian Sharp, aka Hotep Jesus, coming in. It is a great pleasure to have you here, Brian. Thank you so much for coming in. I'm a big fan of your podcast, and just in general, your worldview is very refreshing. So I really appreciate you joining us here. Everybody who is watching, don't forget to subscribe, breaktherules.tv, patreon.com/breaktherules. So I want to get started by saying that you are going to be in Las Vegas in a couple of days for HotepCon. Can you tell us a little bit about this?
What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas, bro.
True.
Hotep Nation weekend, man. We're here. We're having our event out in Vegas this weekend, and it's gonna be a good time. Just kind of hang out with some supporters, man.
And now I noticed that in the advertising for it, the stock images, it was a mixed group of people. There was a white guy shaking a black guy's hand. So would you say that the meaning of Hotep, well, that means truth in Egyptian, but that anybody could really be a Hotep or not really? Would you say there's a limit to who can be a Hotep?
I don't know. I never thought about that. I spoke to Thaddeus Russell and in an interview once, and he said Hotep, from the perspective of how we're pushing it, means self-mastery. So I think anybody who's in the mindset, wants to have a particular mindset, then I think a positive mindset, one conducive to life, can surely follow the path of Hotep.
Based.
Excellent. I couldn't agree more. And Verse, are you following the path of Hotep?
I'm a ally. I'm a Hotep ally. Yeah, I'm adjacent. Hotep adjacent is how I think of myself.
Mm-hmm.
Well, what would you say that you do to follow in the Hotep footsteps as an ally?
I'll say that I have what's a way to say it? I have like a alternative histories, racially conscious alternative histories. I'll say that. That's a little.
Well, I think I'm the same way. Like, as far as there's this guy named Graham Hancock. I know, Brian, have you heard of Graham Hancock?
Yeah.
So he talked a lot about ancient civilizations, how there was a cataclysm 11,000 years ago, and after that, people had to start over. And the thing that gets me there is I see all of us having all this technology around us, trying to make the best of it, but in a way I think like we're getting absorbed by it and we're getting stuck in a kind of loop, especially a lot of young people online. The only thing that they know is the internet. So in a way I think like what you're trying to do is break people out of that. And I don't know, like, where do you think, for yourself personally, where do you think is the limit for humanity?
Shit, man, we're way past that.
Total inframing.
We are way past the limit, man. Long time ago. We made a wrong turn back at Albuquerque, man. I don't know.
So you're also of the belief that there was a Satya Yuga, there was an age of truth where people were, let's say, of a higher level, and now we've just become a shadow of our former selves. Do you think some people are trying to pick up the pieces and will be successful, or are you do you have more of a black pill here kind of mentality?
I don't know. I know there's stories of Atlantis and Lemuria and some other Tartaria or something. I don't know, man. So much stuff you read and come across, especially with the internet, about how much more enlightened people were. I don't think you have to go back to ancient civilizations. You can probably go back a few generations and see the difference in between men and women, and where we went and where we are now. So if you follow that path, I guess, going back a few hundred years, and then doing that, I guess, in each geographic location, you'll see some upward and then downward trend as in various aspects. I think in some aspects, the human, as it becomes more dependent upon technology, it loses something. Like it gains something, but it loses something. I guess some sort of law of compensation. So is there a balance? It might be a good question. Is there a balance between technology or is there some sort of grounding discipline that we're missing? Perhaps that might be a discussion as well. I don't know, but
well, there is an example for example, of the Wim Hof Method. So Wim Hof, another person who shares with you being on the Joe Rogan podcast, and he's the guy who kind of borrowed this breathing technique from various other yogic practices. I've been doing it for a couple of years now, and I noticed like within myself, I start to secrete DMT or whatever you want to call it and start to have all these visions. So there is something that's going on here as far as us being able to perceive other things, have much more active dreams. And eventually I think it coincides with being able to have more freedom, more control over how your perception affects reality. I know it's kind of a hippy-dippy thing to say, and in a way I kind of get pissed off at this new age movement because the style of it seems to be a really big turnoff for a lot of, let's say, more serious people, more business-oriented people when they just see a bunch of bored housewives going to Burning Man and things like that.
Yeah. I mean, I also like the I mean, there's truth to it, right? So like, there's an aesthetic component, like you're saying, but there's clear like truths to it, and not to be all like Reddit, but sometimes there's very, they do studies and whatever, and then you see, and like they just confirm things we already kind of know, because a lot of these there's a reason why the term Lindy kind of catches on, because a lot of these like traditions or these beliefs that have been passed down for generations tend to have a truth to them, even if the overt reason for the truth, like for the the idea or the practice or whatever isn't known, the effects are known, right? So then you can sure we didn't know why certain like herbal remedies worked, right? But then you find out later that there's components in it that we put in our medicine now, right? So you just kind of whatever, there's truth behind things even if you don't explicitly know why, and they lasted the test of time for a reason.
Well, when it comes to the black community today, like if I were to call it the black community, and Hotep Sophia, I wish she was here as well. I'm going to see if she's going to be coming in. She was talking about how black people lived here in the United States long before we assume they did. And I don't know if this is something, Brian, that you also agree with or not.
Yeah, I think that's pretty obvious. I mean, when you say black people, like how do you describe that, right? Because all across the globe, that means many different things in many different places. In America, that means many different things to many different people. Were there melanated people in the Americas? I think the issue with the Americas question is everybody tries to make every continent homogenous, like there was only one type of people here. And as you move from continent to continent, you find that it's never really been that sort of place. For example, a lot of people like to give Christopher Columbus some sort of credit for coming to America and ignoring Leif Erikson per se or whatever, right? And he's come. It's sort of like a stupid argument to say, for some reason humans weren't able to travel by boat, but boats are like, a really old technology. And like we talk about now, like how we have technology, the average citizen doesn't know how to navigate the seas or anything like that. But the further you go back, the more skills humans had naturally picked up. Especially if you were coastal inhabitants or whatever. Humans travel, man. That's what we do. We go explore. We're nosy beings.
It's true. And
curious beings.
It's funny because now the thing that gets me the most is like right now they do that there's a lot of popularity to the idea that like monkeys or whatever traveled across like southern sea currents, right? Yeah. But then the idea that like humans couldn't have just got on a boat and it's like, what are you talking about? Like, doesn't even make any sense.
Yeah, so that's why I'm like, when people ask that question, I'm like, what? Were black people in Americas? I'm like, I thought everybody was. Yeah, everybody's like, been ran through like every other place. It's like, it was like, what is it? Like something about America where it's just like, no, black people didn't go there in ancient times. They went to the Caribbean and Hawaii and the Polynesian Islands and Australia and Europe but not America, not North America, at least, definitely South America, but not North America for some reason. There's some force field around it that black people couldn't get to it. The Bermuda Triangle. I don't know. What's the fucking mental gymnastics you gotta go?
Oh no video issue. I just wanted to make sure we do not dox whoever this person is right over here because their name was revealed.
Oh, that's why. Okay.
Yes, I learned from my mistakes. I never want to dox people on BTR, but Lisa Bode has €4.99 super chat. Brian, you think history is truth based? If not, how can you refer to historical facts? Saw the Joe Rogan clip about slavery in the USA.
Yeah. He said what? What was the first part of the question?
Brian, do you think history is truth-based? If not, how can you refer to historical fact?
History is a collection of opinions. And then from those opinions, you try to assert facts and try to project yourself in those times. For example, I could write a history book about the United States, like I have, like the Patriot Report. And one person can look at the facts and say that the Revolutionary War was over taxes, and I would come in and say it was based upon something else. Now, I don't know how they substantiate their claims, but I substantiate my claims with a direct quote from Benjamin Franklin. So the question then becomes, whose word holds more weight, Benjamin Franklin or you today, right? Mm-hmm. So, but again, we're going off of Benjamin Franklin. So whatever he uttered was pretty much, an opinion or whatever at that time.
It's also a question of how do we know if it wasn't forged, for example, whatever Benjamin Franklin said. I guess we could say that for anything, really.
Right. Yeah. And then it's just like, well, you just trust no information and just, I don't know, carrying on pointless conversations.
Mm-hmm. I mean, that's the other concern that people have today, that most of what the news does, including us, I'll be honest here, is we regurgitate certain pieces of information that we pick up and we comment on it.
Yeah.
We're not really being the media in that sense. We're not really being reporters. We're not really finding things out, uncovering things. It's more of like a copy of a copy of a copy. And eventually, like you were saying, something's going to have to give here. We may be going into more of a fallen state where, I don't know, what do you imagine if you can imagine for a second 10 years from now, most young people are going to be based on what you're already seeing?
Oh man, I don't know. Definitely bad health. I think you're going to have another segment that may emerge where they are the complete opposite of what we may expect. And because there's still a lot of again, that's another question, right? Because when I go to PA, kids ain't really kicking it on their cell phones like that. They in the back, riding their dirt bikes and stuff like that. So it's like city boy versus farm kid. And so maybe there's one section is addicted to technology and other ones trying to escape from it is a possibility. But I think for the most part, you're going to see a lot of this stuff, people going live and entertainment and OnlyFans and, humans just coming to a point where everybody's an entertainer almost.
Well, on this question of history and how people see the world differently, how does the Hotep movement, if you will, conceive of yourselves as what is the historical picture? Because traditionally with various black liberation movements in America, you had, for example, the Nation of Islam. You had this sort of return to more parochial African traditions, But then there's other black nationalists who say that like African Americans, they're different and you should honor that difference. So where does the Hotep stand in terms of how you conceive of yourselves? Do you give homage to that sort of more ancient African tradition, whatever that may be, and depending on the region?
I
Or
mean,
do
we don't
yeah.
put much weight on like things like that. It's not really something that's important, something that's in our sights, in our focus. It's just like, so it's almost like another distraction, like some of the other stuff we were talking about. You know, oh, we're black people in America. Oh, are black people different? Are they separated? It's just like, all right, let's say we do answer that question. Like, what was the purpose of asking that question? What's the purpose of answering that question? Like, what is that? What do we do after we have an answer to it? You know, even if, let's say we just threw it up and God answered it for us. What would we do with that information? You know, on either end. I don't know if anything would change.
Well, it's a question of how people want to live. So I've always been somebody who advocated for, if you want to do a particular thing, if you want to specialize in a particular thing, then move to the city or somewhere where you're going to meet other people who enjoy that thing. For example, Versus Dad, he's an amazing dancer, you know, part of a dance company, founder of a dance company, right, Verse?
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
and so what I'm basically saying here is there are people out there who say that people who look like each other have to live with each other and there'll be more of a peace between them. But then again, if you're somebody who wants to do dancing, or if you want to do a particular thing where you're going to get people from all over the world interested in doing that, then I don't really see that being the case. But I wonder, what is the right balance here as far as people feeling like they're in a high trust society, while at the same time making sure that you don't close the door on somebody who wants to, be with other people, because that seems to be a big cultural clash going on right now. Some people say one thing, other people say another thing.
People have had freedom of association. The only thing that has stopped that is pretty much the state. I mean, Jim Crow literally put out laws, and this is speaking from Walter Williams now. Jim Crow put out laws that said, hey, black people can't party with white people. They can't do this with white people. Can't do that. So in order to put that law up, that means that they must have been partying together.
Yeah,
if you ever
exactly.
read, and if you ever read, Thaddeus Russell's work, they partied together. They did a lot together. They got money together. White and black people have always got money together in America and hung out and had that freedom of association. The only thing that's come between that is, whatever judge sits at the town hall and decides otherwise. Whatever, representatives, political officers decide otherwise.
Or college students as well, as far as I heard in Columbia University. I know, Daniel, I know that you want to go to Columbia, so this may be a bit of a stopper for you. Yes, Daniel is just connecting to audio right now.
Okay.
But I saw this video where this guy was interviewing these Columbia students talking about this segregation that was happening, where black students had their own community and white students had, or like non-black students had their own community.
Oh, yeah,
so it already seems to be happening in schools right now, in these very progressive schools.
I mean, that's not new though. That's not new though. Like, even if you watch like Clueless, to let you know what everybody experienced in high school. The Asian kids hung out with the Asian kids, the Mexicans, the black people hang out, and you'd have a little bit of crossover. Like, hey, I might hang out with my Mexican friends today, and one of them might hang out. You'd have some of that crossover. For the most part, everybody congregated based upon their cultural similarities. I think that's quite natural, and I think that everybody has the right to that as well. If for example, if somebody says, hey, this is a white only establishment, I think that should be allowed, right? Like, all right, cool, that's for y'all. I think it's different when they say, hey, you're white and you shouldn't be hanging out with this black guy. It's like, nah, you can't tell that white man what he doing, and with that black man, you can only tell what you and your people want to do. So if you want to take your business and you want to exclude the entire demographic, you're going to have to hurt economically. And this is what happened businesses were hurt economically because people were choosing to have that freedom of association, and the businesses that catered to everyone obviously made more money. So to level the playing ground, he said, no, nobody does it because it's hurting my business. You got to understand that humans are basically fighting over resources. The only reason why people are going to fight is because of those scarcity of resources, whether that be money or, whatever.
And Daniel, now that you're back with us here, I'm curious what your perspective is. You're a young man who's possibly going to either NYU or Columbia. I'm not exactly sure, but what do you see happening right now as far as segregation goes? Like, we're not talking about just freedom of association. We're talking about there being like these black spaces that are organized, it seems, from the top down.
Well, first of all, can you guys hear me clearly? I have to use my AirPod audio for now until I figure out what's happening with my mic because the audio is not working. But I can give like my quick opinion while I work on that, if that's
Sure.
fine. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, I can. Audio's a bit fuzzy, but for the quick opinion, that's absolutely fine.
Okay, so what I've heard is that yes, like groups do self-segregate each other, but it was never based on deep philosophical differences. So, the Hispanics will group each other with the Hispanics, the Asians with the Asians, the whites with the whites, because they had cultural propensities that were similar to each other, not deep philosophical differences between each other. The difference between groups self-segregating and teachers and administrators having different people split into different classrooms is that they're contending that they must be split into different classrooms because there is a philosophical divide, right? That blacks can't do objective math, that they, science is racist and whatnot. And so to protect them, they must be in a different room. And so that's my quick opinion on that. And there's a difference. Like the former self-segregating is not ideal. You want to talk to people with different opinions, but it's like fine. But the latter, the former is way more pernicious in intent.
Interesting. Brian, what do you think?
Yeah, I think we pretty much agree, right? I think I've said pretty much the same thing as him. You'll have cultural similarities, but when you try to force people into these boxes, that's when things kind of get weird, from administrators or officers or whatever. Yeah, it gets, it's like, what is this?
What is your opinion on civil rights in general, the civil rights movement? There was this book that I read called Age of Entitlement, which labeled the whole civil rights movement, even though it was well-intentioned, to create a lot of these problems that we're seeing right now, where the government just has much more control over freedom of association, which was originally part of the First Amendment, and now seems to be ignored.
Yeah. Civil rights. I think the problem was the individuals that were asking for some sort of, the first problem was integration, right? The Southerners, especially, weren't into integrating. And as told to me by, again, Thaddeus Russell, it's one of my homies. I spend a lot of time talking to him sometimes. And, they went down and they said, hey, are you having problems, with your schools and not having enough supplies and resources to your black schools? And they said, yeah, we pay taxes like everybody else. The white schools are getting funding and we're not getting any funding. And it's like NWCP fights and says, well, we'll join your fight if you integrate. And they say, well, we're not really interested in integrating. We just want the same amount of state funding for our schools, since we pay the same amount of taxes like everybody else. And NWCB said, no, we're fighting for integration. I think that's something I definitely would agree with. But I think that's what happens when you have your enemy posing as your ally.
Yeah, it's true. Even Fenon talked about that, how there's sort of the colonialist will embrace sort of the parochial like aspects of the colonized culture as a way of almost like placating them, when in actuality the material circumstances of like subjugation that still goes on, but yet you give like you almost like throw them a cultural bone. So you think that the project of the civil rights movement, that was largely, as some have said, even back in the day, that was largely like a product of white liberals that were doing like a more weird, like a more like second order form of subjugation rather than like an overt sort of
yeah. Nothing's gonna really catch steam unless they wanted to. Then the white liberals not going to fund or put their media behind anything that is not going to be towards their benefit, or they'll contort it towards their benefit. But if they didn't want that to be a part of history, it wouldn't be a part of history. There's a lot of omissions from Black history. You know, if we wanted to have Black History Month, we should talk about Black slave owners instead of Black slaves. And then we can start to have a more well-rounded conversation.
Yeah, they don't talk about like, you know, Black like representatives during Reconstruction. Like they don't talk about like, you know,
they don't talk about Black Republicans.
Yeah, there's a very specific, very small sliver of what they talk about, and it's for narrative purposes.
No talking about Marcus Garvey.
Yeah, they're very specific. They don't talk about like what's it called? COINTELPRO. They don't mention that part. Like they, you know what I mean? They skip things.
Yeah, so it's like, you know, what you know, we talk about civil rights. Obviously, if it's a big part of history, they wanted it to be, because and it wasn't not every, and that's another thing. Like everybody thinks that Black people were fond of that whole thing. Not a lot of Black people, or I wouldn't say everybody was in lockstep with everything that was happening in the movement. Not everybody agreed with it. You know, many people wanted to handle their problems differently. Many people were just fine the way they were. But I think once you had the socialist programs come in, that was the beginning of the end.
Well, speaking of socialist programs, I'm originally from the USSR, from St. Petersburg, Russia. And awesome. I remember my parents talking about back in the day how Angela Davis used to be flown into the Soviet Union, and she was a big star over there. You know, she always,
of course she was.
Right. Yeah, she always used to make all these speeches, and how you have examples of, let's say, somebody like Rosa Parks, who was also part of a labor organization that was placed where she was at the right time in order to.
Yeah, she was a glowy. That's right.
But the question is, glowy for who? Because again, I don't know how many of the people that are considered to be the heroes of the civil rights era are actually, you know, not working for the United States in terms of intelligence agencies, but working for the USSR as intelligence agencies.
Yeah, that's possible too. Wasn't Angela Davis like confirmed though, like glowy, like her and Gloria Steinem, weren't they both?
She was. Well, Gloria Steinem was directly being paid by the CIA.
Was not Angela
Davis was. I think so. She was part of like these NGOs, but that's really weird how the discourse is like shaped towards like her book actually with the prison abolition thing. I actually read it. I don't know. I think it's almost designed in a way to be like, to like leave on the sort of point of indeterminacy. It's like almost designed to be like, well, I don't know about the solutions for now, but it's like, that's like literally the end of the book, by the way. I don't know any solutions, but well, what do you think, Hotep Jesus, about the prison abolition thing? There's a lot of like these college students that think it's I definitely agree that the prison system in America definitely is racialized, and there is like immense problems. And in fact, actually, the state relies on the sort of carceral regime to keep going, the private prison system. But what do you think? Do you think that prison abolition could be a positive, or it's like totally unrealistic?
I think that the necessity says much about the civilization. The more prisons you got, the more, you know, backwards your society is. We live in a society where people profit from prisoners. And the socialists would blame that on capitalists, and me, a capitalist, would blame that on socialists. You know, without socialists, you don't have so many restrictions on things because they're trying to even a playing ground for everyone, and really that only hurts the bottom. But I don't know. I for one am not in favor of removing prisons under the current condition that our country is in. But I do believe that the current prison system is not the right solution. You know, even if I were to be the ultimate communist, I could run these prisons a lot better and make them productive, right? I don't think they really want to reintroduce people back into society. I don't think they want to do that in an effective way. I think the system wants to keep a certain amount of population behind bars.
They want slave labor. But,
yeah. But I mean,
contracts and stuff like that.
Yeah, but they're not forward thinking enough, because you could really juice the prison population if you educated them. The problem is they'd come out and they'd probably be way more educated than your average graduate from college.
All that free time thinking. A lot of free time thinking and reading.
But you have human capital there, especially like military age young men, like just sitting there rotting away and like doing squats and burpees in the yard,
Really what you have is the entire alpha population.
Mm-hmm.
You have a huge alpha population. Really, you have the military arm of the people locked up.
Wow.
And that's really what they've seized, is the warrior class of the people.
Wow. That begs the question then, like, is that I mean, clearly that's intentional to some degree, right? They're trying to create like just like a neutered, homogenous society of sorts. So they need to remove
bunch of eunuchs.
Yeah. They need to remove.
But even like the warrior caste, I mean, look at the rate of like drug abuse in prisons. Like that's obviously intentional. Like,
and the food as well. Like they serve really terrible shitty food there.
Yeah.
What was the term for it in Oz? They used to call them tits. The drugs that would come. Like they're letting them in. Let's face it. That's.
Mm-hmm.
Do you watch prison Snapchat? I mean, TikToks, because they get cell phones, and then there's a lane of TikToks from prison that are very interesting.
Oh man.
And it could have been done so differently too if you had these young black kids who had a good father figure growing up. I mean, that's the thing that keeps being brought up. I know Thomas Sowell brings that up a lot. How a lot of black kids, they don't have father figures. Like a lot of them have single mothers, and they only have other kids around their neighborhood to be their guide. So no wonder a lot of these problems happen.
Well, I think that was only the black community for a while, but now that's becoming just a general, because the black community essentially, like the problems of society kind of, they're like about like 10 years ahead. Like, when there was a heroin, like, whatever epidemic in the black community, no one cared. Now it's hit middle America, so they pay attention. You know what I mean? So like
the 80s was crack.
Yeah, so like
now it's like lean and
and lean is the same thing as the Oxycontin, like epidemic. You know what I'm saying? Those are effectively the same drug, right? So you see these trends that happened like about a decade earlier in the black community, or like just generally just the poor community in general, because you see this in like Appalachia too.
Yeah.
And like so effectively like this whole lack of father figures thing is starting to manifest in the white community too, and that's why you get like this like reactionary response to it.
But do you guys see, like, is there a difference? I would say, like, is there a noticeable difference between like the activist class and average African Americans, like living like in the life? Like I remember Hotep Jesus, you had this stream about the we can't see it on YouTube, the Fauci ouchie. Mm-hmm. How the one commercial, I think it was from Arkansas, where the guy's like, I'm a hustler, I'm a businessman. It's like, you got to go get your Fauci ouchie. And it's fun. And you were mentioning how, who's the guy, Talcum X, who's the guy? What's his name?
Sean King.
Yeah. How it's like,
Talcum like, X, that's so funny. That's the funniest thing I ever.
It's like, this is what happens when we let the whites in. It's like, I noticed, like, without getting too racial, I do notice that there's a marked difference between, like, the college-educated activist, like, Ibram Kendi type of, how would you, like, because they're not even, like, black nationalists. They're, like, this global liberal thing. There's a difference between them and, like, people who are actually experience what life is like as an African-American. I don't know, like what do you guys think of that? Like,
I mean, every group of people is represented by their intelligence class, the intelligentsia, the intellectual class. So the system's obviously going to control whoever becomes a part of that class. So, for example, on the right, when you look at some of the conservative influencers,
oh God, Shapiro,
It's like you hear a lot of great things, and it's just like, wait, what? A lot of
what
statism,
would
I
be
would
a
say.
okay? Yeah, I
A
was about
lot
to
of
ask like what would be the example that you would
yeah,
give?
just the raw statism, the raw jingoism. And then on the right, on the left, with the black folks, obviously it's the most pasteurized Negro. Somebody who probably didn't even grow up around black people.
Yeah, it's like a
Gotta
response. It's like I want to like assert my black identity because I didn't know any when I was growing up.
yeah.
Oh god. Well, you guys said it.
No, it's true though. Like,
It's
and
true.
they
Yeah.
kind of like,
Yeah.
that's why
So
it's
they
such
try
a
to,
major part of their identity as an adult. You're like,
yeah, they've never had a chance to be black. So now they're trying to overcompensate, and they've been educated, and they're technically white liberals. I mean, if you just remove the skin color and just look at them for what they are, they're technically, white liberals. Um, the biggest problem with black folks is um, we're white. Black people are white. I mean, we speak English. We speak English, and not only that, many of us are locked into speaking English. Like we don't even have second and third languages that we speak. So we're de facto a part of white culture. Because of the European conquering. So, when you say, black, I'm like, what's left of black other than skin, right?
I always notice this with like an American, like we can look at India, right, and see like there's like white Indians down to like dark skinned Indians, right, and everyone's like, oh, they're India, right? But in
The ruling
America,
class in Latin America is pretty much white.
the white and black culture of America, they're effectively the same thing. Like at this point, it's like 10 generations of intermingling and the same culture.
But it's not even European culture. It's not like for example, if we go to
it's Hollywood culture.
Yeah. Like for example,
industry.
we have somebody like Pushkin. I always bring Pushkin up, but he was like, I don't know, he was like a quarter black or like an eighth black, but like I think his great grandfather Hannibal, he was given as a present to Peter the Great, but Peter the Great raised him like a son or whatever, and he became a top person within the government there in Russia at the time, and then his great grandson Pushkin, became a brilliant writer, modernized the entire Russian language. So I see somebody like that reaching for a really, really high standard today. Whether you're talking about, black culture, white culture, just American culture in general, the standard just seems to be very, very, very low as far as like people aren't even reading books. They're not even reading bad books.
Well, that's the whole thing about the intellectual class is they exist and have power because of the public's ignorance. The public is so distracted that they have no time to inform themselves of what's important in life. Therefore, they rely on the intellectual class. And if the intellectual class has been compromised, then really you're just talking about cogs in a machine, batteries.
That is true. I would also note that. Oh, by the way, did you guys hear me properly?
Great audio,
Yes.
beautiful audio.
All right, that gave me a freaking headache. Speaking of intellectuals, America had a really deeply anti-intellectual sort of nature to it, and this is not anti-intellectual in a way that like we hate books and we don't like studying and we don't like becoming smarter versions of ourselves, but there repeatedly many times in American history where Americans would elect a president that is, anti-elite, anti-establishment, anti-intellectual. Intellectual being the person in the halls of academia. Let's take President Jackson, for example. President Jackson, and for me personally, his attitude is not something that I can really rock with, but President Jackson had that sort of, hey, no, we're not gonna create another national bank, or we're not gonna do all these things that I would say the establishment class wanted to do. And I wouldn't really. Let me revise my answer, but I wouldn't necessarily say it's anti-intellectual. I would say it's anti for lack of a better term, establishment, like anti-elitist, and intellectual is a kind of elite of the knowledge kind, I would say. So yeah, and we don't only have that, but it's interesting to see how today we've sort of lost that nature to us. That like, oh, like just because you have more per capita knowledge doesn't mean you get to rule over my life. Now there's an intense culture where, oh, if you don't follow what Dr. Fauci says, then you're evil. If you don't follow what your overlords in government tell you, when the FDA approved the vaccine yesterday. And I don't.
By the way, be
like,
careful. We're on YouTube.
When
Don't say the word
jab when the jab got approved by the FDA yesterday, everybody in their stories, go get the vaccines now. Go get the vaccines.
Oh, he just
Don't
said
say a
it
word.
again.
You're gonna get the
Well, my bad.
intellectual content warning thing. You're gonna get censored.
My bad, guys. Go get the jab.
Just say
go get the
ouchie.
jab.
That's
Whatever. Yeah, get the ouchie. Yes, get the ouchie. Go get the ouchie. Whatever. And
oh, by the way, the
it's
studies are like not going to be completed till 2025. So
Oh no, actually, yeah, because they messed up the control group. You saw that?
Oh,
see
just
that?
like with the AIDS thing, the
Yeah.
original AZT, right?
can talk
Oh,
about
sorry.
that.
Well,
I
not only
can't
that,
say that.
Well, that's not the first time our overlords up in government have made mistakes with COVID. For example, the reason why America was so behind on the bug tests was because the CDC wanted to make its own kit when other countries were using the kits from the WHO. And what happened was that the CDC testing kits, like 1 in 5 of them were tested positive by default. And so we were so behind on testing, and the media will do its normal routine. Oh, it's Trump, whatever, this and that. But the fact of the matter is, the intellectual class, though our overlords, intellectual overlords, whether they be in our bureaucracy or in the halls of academia, we've allowed them too much power, and we're not even bashing each other for not listening to them. And so that's I would say a shift in the culture that makes me anxious, I would say.
Well, what do you think, Hotep Jesus, of what's going on in Australia right now? The truckers are going to be shutting down, and in general, there just seems to be a very big amount of vehemence on behalf of the people there that are striking back against the lockdowns. There was a comment that was made by, I believe it was Bennett, who made this comment before, where Bennett, Extra Dead JCB, shout out to Extra Dead JCB, he made a comment about how in Australia, since they don't have any weaponry, it's actually easier for them to strike back against tyranny, because it wouldn't be a matter of somebody using their guns and all of a sudden being labeled as this, far-right group that has to be now shut down by the government. Do you think that there is any argument to that maybe the Second Amendment, as great as it is, has this temporary weakness in the modern state? Because if not for that, maybe people wouldn't be as shy about when tyranny comes their way, striking back like Australia's doing.
Well, violence is impossible to most people, I guess you could say.
I like that. I like that take where they said because they're unarmed, if they were to revolt. Yeah, that's a pretty cool take. I like that. I still like having my guns, but
Yeah, right.
I'm not exactly saying. When I look at Australia, I just look at, it's like, all right, so that's what we're going to become. All right, this is gonna suck. That's what I see. I just see future America.
Well, is it Australia or Canada? Because Gio, you're always saying that
Australia is the real Canada in my head.
Oh, Canada was always the real Canada. Oh, that's amazing. Australia used to be more based than us. That was,
Well, what exactly is going on in Canada? Oh, and also Remus, you're also from Canada, by the way. I would love to hear from you as well, Remus. I know you've been here for a while. What do you make?
I've just been enjoying the conversation.
I'm glad you've been enjoying it.
Yeah.
So you're originally from Canada, right?
Yes.
Do you think that we're going to be heading the way of Canada? And what do you think about that take as well that Bennett did about the Second Amendment kind of being a surprising hindrance to striking back in any way with possible tyranny in the future?
I didn't see Bennett's take on that. I can look at that.
No,
now,
it's just a
yeah.
matter of Australian people right now being able to
that's-
They
physically.
can riot. They can like push the cops around because they don't have that threat
It-
of
it-
like being
to
firing. on
to a degree. I think all of this stuff, it's kind of weird because we're seeing like governments flex their muscles, but they can't. It's like they have to put on the kids' gloves, which is kind of funny, right? Like, yes, I guess they do have that advantage that you can kind of express yourself even more because you're not an actual threat, right? But it doesn't look good over there. Like, you know what I mean? That's not a situation that we want to be in. And I think, Canada has to worry because, New Zealand and Australia are literally like different flavors of Canada. It's the same kind of thing. You know what I mean? So, yeah, that's probably going to happen there too, which is not cool. And
But here's the thing. Oh, sorry.
the fact that Americans are armed is in some ways reassuring, but in other ways worrisome because it's just like.
Yeah, I don't think boomers are gonna go out with their bushmasters and like challenge power.
No,
Yeah.
but
Time
consider,
soon, I don't know.
well, consider
Yeah.
like Australia's had like 12 to 15 something in that range
Yeah.
of lockdowns, right?
Yeah.
They wouldn't be able to do that in the US, right? So sure they can in a public setting like push back more, but the fact that they're pushing back after 15 or so, a dozen lockdowns is a little bit different scenario to begin with.
But
Yeah, that's
another
true.
thing
That's
too,
true.
Yeah.
like
Go
another
ahead,
thing too
Joe.
is the vaccine. So fuck. Sorry, the Ouchie has damn you, Daniel.
Sorry,
Damn
I
Daniel.
am-
Damn.
I'm so
Sorry.
The ouch.
The Ouchie hesitancy among specifically African Americans and Hispanic people in America, the point that the media never talks about. Why do you, I know why that is. Because if you look up, Tuskegee, say no more.
Tuskegee, the
minorities have been used,
hysterectomies at the border,
Puerto
Even-
Rican
Legalize
birth
Puerto
control
Ricans,
pills.
yeah.
Even without any of that, it's just a natural. Their life has taught them this without even knowing
Yeah.
about Tuskegee. It's just a lack of trust for especially government authority.
I think you were the one who mentioned the most popular book in prison, right?
Oh yeah, Bill Cooper, Behold a Pale Horse.
Yeah.
In California prison system, that circulated throughout the 80s and 90s. That was like that's why a lot of rappers are so woke on a lot of like New World Order stuff because they read Bill Cooper in prison.
Well, that makes me wonder about like somebody like Tupac, who I was mentioning last time when we had Hotep Sophia on, and also had Patriot J, who unfortunately couldn't make it, but he gives you his very best. Brian, I know he's going to be playing at Hotep Con coming up in Las Vegas soon, so very excited about that. But anyway. From what I read about Tupac Shakur, he attended this pretty prestigious theatrical school with Will Smith's wife. And the whole thing, like when you look at Tupac's older interviews where he was dancing ballet, he seems to be a very different person than the gangster image that he had later on. So part of me thinks, like, was there something manufactured about Tupac, as well as, let's say, his mom being involved with the Black Panthers, but then there were some people who were agents within the Black Panthers. She was not made out to be one of them, but then again, who knows? And later on, when you had Tupac coming out with his Illuminati and all that, and then we know what happened to him. So would you say that that is an example of somebody who may have been originally part of some kind of orchestration that then rebelled against it, or is that reading too much into it? I don't know. Hotep Jesus, what do you think?
Yeah, I think you're reading too much into that, man.
Oh.
Yeah, I think you're trying to compare what a man is like in high school to what he's going to be after high school is quite unfair. I just look at the microcosm of experiences I've had between high school and adulthood. I mean, high school, I was playing sports and hanging out with girls and hanging out with the homies, right? And after that, I was running into dudes who, like, I remember one of the homies was like trafficking guns. Like I didn't know anybody trafficking guns in high school. I think the more experiences we have, the more it starts to shape us. Also, Tupac was in Hollywood. So there's a lot of experiences you're going to have, not only from that, but also from being in the music industry. And for a man, I think the first thing that changes a man is a woman. And usually it's a woman that breaks your heart. Right. I think that's like one of the first transitions to where a man goes from, I don't want to say submissive, but very much childlike in a certain innocence. And then he loses his innocence the first time, his girlfriend cheats on him or something like that, or a girl plays him out. And he's just like, oh my God, like he told me you loved me.
Yeah, I agree.
I have
100%.
a question. Would you say that that lack of experience among boys of the new generation, Gen Z, is contributing to, I guess, a lack of maturity, or maybe like it's something there, emotional growth? Would you say that's a thing?
What demographic are you talking about?
Younger guys, like teenagers, Gen Z, because we see that more and more younger men aren't getting they aren't getting that first, they aren't getting laid, they're more likely to be virgins and whatnot. And we know it's definitely not because they all turn Amish, right? They're all still watching porn and whatnot. Would you say that the lack of that experience, going out and like maybe talking to a girl and then ending up being heartbroken by that girl, do you think there's a lack of that experience among younger men? And if so, how severe is the, I would say, damage of not being able to experience that?
I don't know. I don't know what's going on with that demographic. I got two young boys who just turned 12. I hope they're virgins.
The rate of virginity is up to like 27% for men under 30.
It should continue to go up. I think sex is man's biggest distraction.
That is true.
What about cooming? What about masturbation? How many of the people who aren't having sex right now are just stuck on pornography?
I don't know.
Well, that's the big issue then, because if people are not going out and meeting people and going out of their comfort zone, it seems like the only thing that's left is for people to just go into another shell that reinforces whatever it is they already believe. And I think we're seeing it in a lot of these online communities, which BTR tries to fight in a way by breaking a lot of these bubbles up. Mm-hmm. But I don't know, like that.
We tried to expose the Gooners, for instance.
Yes, exactly.
Well, I will say straight up, as somebody who's been around men who are of younger age, I would say that it is a problem. First of all people of my generation, men and female, men and women, they both aren't going out and talking. That's the first thing. And so when I end up talking to somebody, maybe at the park or whatnot, they're taken aback. Right? Oh my God! Like, I've never been talking to before. Like, what do I do in this situation? They're too immersed in the online world, and so they even forgot just typical, just like, hey, when you're talking to somebody, take off your AirPods because that's the sign of respect, or make sure you make eye contact with them and whatnot. And I think that the younger generation's inability to, or whether it is refusal or just plain inability to talk to people of the opposite gender, it has huge impacts, because it's not as if they're not simulating that that relationship with the other gender. right? They're, for example, like I said before, they're on porn sites, right? They're paying for OnlyFans because they want the connection, right?
Yeah.
And
Well, soon not anymore though. That's one good thing.
It'll just be a new place.
Yeah, it'll be
there will
Chatterbait
always be a
again.
new place because the market will always speak, and there will always be a platform to let the market play out the way it wants to play out. But it's a huge problem, right? The reason why OnlyFans did so well, even though you have literally free porn sites, it's because OnlyFans simulated that connection, right? For whatever you were paying, I don't know how like often you have to pay, if it was per month, per week, whatever you were paying, you were getting some sort of connection, and is not real. That's the problem. And so I would say, yeah, it is harming young men. They're emasculated, right? Because in order to be attractive, you have to go to the gym. You have to work on the way you speak, don't speak like this, like speak like a man, And
well,
so
let's talk about the woman question though. Because
before the woman question, I'm reading this really fascinating book called Prometheanism by Jason Rizzo-Giorgiani, who we are going to have next Tuesday, so next week. I'm very excited about that. But over here, this is from this.
You got Giorgiani, funny. You've been talking about for a while.
Yeah.
Exactly. So this is from this philosopher here named Gunther Anders. So he talks about how the television affects an even more radical reorientation of our existence, whereas movie theaters still brought families together for an outing in the context where they would also encounter others in the society. The television atomizes the consumer of that mass culture which it broadcasts. The TV set has replaced the family table or the hearth of the home around which the kindred of two or more generations would gather to speak with each other and entertain each other, whereas the family table had a centripetal force. Anders describes the TV as impacting those gathered around it with a centrifugal force. If they ever say anything to one another while trying not to miss a moment of the show, this is an interruption in the process whereby the television isolates each of them. Each feels as if he is addressed personally and addressed by personalities that, although they are in fact perfect strangers, have adopted a matter of communication that is as frank and chummy as what would be expected from a lifelong friend. Not only newscasters and entertainers, but even public officials adopt this tone. What this mirage of familiarity insidiously conceals is the individual is being fundamentally conditioned as a mass man and the consumer of events that have been transformed into commodities. When the event is no longer attached to a specific location and can be reproduced virtually any number of times, it acquires the characteristics of an assembly line product, and when we pay for having it delivered to our homes, it is a commodity. It is astonishing how it can be lost on people that the program is programming them.
NPCs, yeah, 100%. Also, by the way, just as an aside to anyone listening, eating with the family at the table is a major preventative factor in like a lot of different mental illnesses in like your children, also like eating disorders specifically. So like eating like actually at the table with like tech down like really is like a massive benefit that is so easy to do that it's kind of a shame that a lot of people don't do it anymore.
Well, before we get to the woman question, Hotep Jesus, can you talk a little bit about your family values as far as being a family man now? How has that changed you personally?
You definitely got to be on your game. You got to provide for more than yourself. You have to be sharper in your plans, sharper in your planning. It's fun though. It's fun though. I look at kids as the best investment a man can make. So I invest a lot of money and time into my kids. Like I said, the nuclear family is the strongest political party. So I think if everybody focused on fame, I think that's one of the biggest problems with the American culture is, a child turns 18. It's like, all right, kick him out, send him to college, get him out of here. And the kid like goes away. And, for me, when we look at, who runs the world per se, right, this Illuminati, they're always saying some family name. So it's like, okay, so the 60 families realize that family is our strength. So the best thing to do to keep strength is to make sure everybody else doesn't epitomize the family.
What do you think of Jesse Lee Peterson's stance of when you're 18 years old, you got to move out?
He said that.
Yeah,
All the time. All the time.
Beta.
Why did he say that?
He mostly because he just thinks that people, men don't take responsibility. So he was just like, when I was 18, I moved out, and like when my kids turn 18, I want them to move out so that they take responsibility. That was the context, and now it's kind of a meme now.
I think what he's basically saying is he couldn't discipline the children himself. He couldn't figure out a way to put them through the rigors of life himself. He couldn't become creative enough to do so. I have no desire to tell my kids they have to leave. In fact, I'd be sad the day they leave. I'd much rather them help build the empire, help build the company. You know, your friends can go off to college. I can make you CEO of some corporation right now. Say, here's a budget. You know, go figure this out. All right.
Well, being a fellow small hat member of the tribe, I would say that regardless of any of the conspiracies that people throw out about the people that I'm related to matrilineally, I would say, though, that family has been an incredible focus for the Jewish community in general. You know, as it has been also for the Italians. But there is just something weird to me when I see, for example, a lot of WASP families, the coldness. You know, you could even see it in a lot of American traditions of throwing your parents into these old folks' homes and just getting away from them.
Yeah.
And it's just like you're not utilizing all the resources that are at your disposal here. You know, like it's very strange.
Can I interject?
Sure.
I definitely agree. I mean, in order to have a free society, you need to be able to have strong families because most problems are done, with family. Right. And so like if you have a problem with rent, right, you want to go to the federal government wouldn't implement an eviction moratorium. You would ask, hey, my brother, like I really need rent. Can you help? Like I lost my job. Can you help me? And your brother would help you. Right. And then it'll go to your community, maybe your church, and then it'll go to your local government and state government and whatever. And so most of the problems of a society needs to be done at a lower and more local level in order for us to remain free. I mean, that's one of the concerns of Brutus number one. Brutus thought that if Brutus being a pseudonym for somebody else, but the papers is essentially an anti-federalist paper. He talks about how America was too big for us to implement policies from above, and people needed to see their politicians. Why do you need to see your politicians? To form a friendship. Because if a politician was your friend and you knew him personally, then the problems of the community are taken more seriously. And so yes, the family is the most important level that we need to be working on. And I definitely agree with Hotep Jesus on that. I mean, my parents personally, they always talk about how they'll say, well, these kids these days want to leave at 18 and whatnot, and they will talk about how they had family friends whose kids stayed until like 25, and they weren't staying until 25 doing nothing. They were staying until 25. They were working. They were accumulating resources and whatnot. And so, I think it's a deeply American thing. I think it's an American thing, but ultimately, I agree with everything that Hotep Jesus says. I just wanted to include that.
Well, let's go to the woman question right now. And also, Hotep Jesus, I want to make sure that we are good on time as far as your schedule goes. So please let us know. Okay, cool. So when it comes to the... and also before the woman question, I also wanted to quickly say, everybody subscribe, patreon.com/breaktherules. And also, I was looking up the President Warren G. Harding. This guy had an open door policy where you could just come into the White House and tell him about your complaints. And I was just like, man, that was like back in the day. That was pretty nice. Like, could we ever go back to something like that? But anyway, Gio, woman question, go.
Oh, me?
Yeah, well, you were the one who started.
Right now, do it.
Well, I mean, if you don't remember the woman question, Lisa had a really great question.
No, I wanted to.
Oh, okay.
Go ahead, Daniel. Go ahead.
Well, Lisa, she had a really good question. I have a screenshot. It says, it's cuckold or cuckoldry a symptom, and she put like symptom, which was funny.
Symptom.
A symptom. Was it a symptom of
porn?
Of porn? Yeah.
Yes.
And
yeah, the same way that certain
that would say
other
outright.
yeah, I
paraphilias
would say no. I think that
Oh.
cuckoldry will exist. I would say that. Well, I would say that.
choose your words carefully, Daniel, please.
Yeah. I'm like trying to navigate this.
Let's go.
Like it may be a factor, but I truly believe that if you look at the dynamics, well, every man want to have a genetic legacy, right? But not every man is capable of doing so. We've seen historically that isn't it like 40%? Only 40% of men would like
before,
reproduce.
Before advanced civilizations.
Yeah, before advanced civilization. So I would say that, there's a very before advanced civilization, and I would say the internal maybe like hardware, or yes, the internal hardware is still wired the same way, even though we're in more advanced civilizations. I think that men, especially in a deregulated sexual market, that we're in right now, will resort to that in order to find a way to continue that genetic legacy, because women are less likely, or I would say that they're not as likely to. I'm trying to word this properly. Women
It's like a coping mechanism. Like men will find pleasure in being cucked because they can't sustain like a normal relationship.
So they'll still have children by the wife, but then there'll be a bull on the side for the.
No. The point is that the bull impregnates the woman.
Oh,
that's the whole fetish. So it's like an evolutionary strategy, and so I think evolutionary psychology is bullshit, by the way.
But then what do the men get out of it? What would the man get out of just being there on the side, having the bull have his way with the wife,
being on the hotel cuck chair?
Well, that's the thing. What do men get from that? And the answer is nothing. But if you don't develop yourself, if you don't become stronger, or you don't accumulate resources, then what other choice do you have? The reality is women take control. They have control over the sexual market place. And whatever you think about like evolutionary psychology or whatnot, the fact of the matter is that if women have like power over the sexual marketplace, they're going to enforce their
standards,
their strategy, right? Their mating strategy, or I think that's what it's called. But right, they would smash Chad, Tyrone, whatever during during their party years, and then when what's like a typical beta like name when
Poindexter. Okay.
Ryan, when like Ryan wants to continue his genetic legacy as well, but he's not as hot as Tyrone, and so he would like so all right, I was you took this
okay, Dana, please let's go off the stage now. It's
so like Ryan would he would accept a pretty poor contract with the woman he's with in an attempt to continue that genetic legacy. I'm gonna keep it there. But yeah, like it's not just due to porn. I think it's more than that, but porn can be a factor.
There was this one video where the guy regretted it.
The reason I said, of course they regretted fucking.
Yeah, I mean, why? Of course,
what an idiot.
Men are pretty territorial. Like that's what an girl, and you're.
Imagine it's like playing Russian roulette and then getting upset that you shot yourself. It's just
basically.
It's very stupid, right? So, what I mean is, I think the proliferation of this becoming a thing, is due to porn.
Well, I remember they were trying to sell it years ago.
The inherent nature of pornography is you watching someone fuck someone that you find attractive.
Yeah, pornography is cuckold.
Which is it's just like an inherently, you know what I mean? So. It almost like reinforces that, right? So it's not a good. That relationship is definitely tied, I think.
So Gia, what's the woman question? Do you remember now? I think you remember. I just cut you off.
Fuck.
Yeah, we
Sorry,
did the
someone-
cuckold question first.
I literally can't remember what we were talking about before that.
The bomb has been dropped.
The bomb's been dropped for sure.
All right, if there is no woman question, I'm going to get to Larry Elder. If there is no woman question.
It seems that like a lot of people in the media have accused Hotep of being misogynist, but clearly, I mean, in your work, Hotep Jesus, you lay out a very nuanced view of the role of women, particularly as being the sort of spiritual side of humanity. Maybe you could go into it a bit. How you think?
Where'd you hear that from? How'd you know I felt like that? What were you watching? You were deep in my shit, if you know that.
Yeah, but
Pause.
oh well, you know,
yeah, I mean, I can't remember the name of that country. It's an African country. It'll come to me. It's just slipped my mind right now. But you got the child. You got the father, and the father's pointing out this. The baby's pointing out to sea. Dad's looking out to sea, and mom's looking up. Right. Women are very emotional. If we know anything about the law of attraction, it requires some level of emotion and emotional control. So women have the ability to manipulate the force at very high levels. I'm not sure if they are unattainable by man, but I know probably for them it's probably just more natural. Men are just technically more logical. So we have this symbiotic relationship where, man builds a house, woman decorates it. Man can build a house, but only woman can make it a home. That type of situation. Because it's up to guys, it'd be like a gaming chair and a PlayStation in the house, and that'd be it. And like maybe audio proofing around the walls. Like every room would have a serve a purpose. Like this is my, such and such room. This is my such and such room, but it wouldn't be, I'm decorating, right?
It's like that meme, men think it's okay to live like this.
Yeah.
You know the one I'm talking about.
Yeah, I do always live like that. So it's real.
But it's interesting. He said that the marketplace was deregulated, and I'm thinking to myself, like, nah, I don't think the marketplace is deregulated. I think it's definitely regulated, and that's a problem. With the divorce courts, child support court, you got a lot of state entities getting involved with mother-father child dynamics. So no, I don't know if it's completely deregulated.
Are there any other things as far as advertising goes that you'd say the government is also partly responsible as far as what influences young women have today? Or would you say that is just completely free market and it's up to the parents to control that?
Culture is usually driven by business. So I think a lot of corporations are driving some of that stuff. It just so happens that there's such a close relationship between corporations and government. Sometimes you can't tell the difference. A lot of it is shaped. Like a lot of people don't know, but American culture, like we talked about before, is an American culture. It's really Hollywood culture. America was created on, by Warner Brothers and them guys. That image was sort of created for people, and people emulated that screen. People had much different. They were leading much different lives than what was portrayed on the TV screen. But I don't know. Women, I believe, are the Phoenix. Now that from X-Men, if you ever watch X-Men, you got the Phoenix. She's like the most powerful X-Men, but when she's out of control, she has the ability to destroy everything around her. Mm-hmm. So I think that's a great metaphor for women because they're the same way. And I think that's why Western culture and even Eastern culture have monopolized masculinity and sort of weaponized it against women. Instead of letting women be women, I think it was a lot of little dick energy that was happening. A lot of insecure people. Like I know, what was it? King James. What did he do to women or something like that? Like he did some. Oh yeah, I think it was the whole women have to lay down giving birth because some like I don't know. I forget some stupid shit. But there's just like a lot of insecure
Yeah,
things.
it messes up the. It actually is harder for them when they lay down.
Yeah.
It was because of no, I remember.
Yeah, but the excuse he used for installing that, I forget what it was. Like they were taller than him or something. Like he just felt offended by women. But just all throughout history, you just have like women being oppressed, or suppressed, I should say.
Would you say it's similar in the Muslim world if we're talking about the hijab and all that?
Yeah, the same as well. They're trying to control that female energy, and really, you can't. You can contain it, but you can't control it. It's gonna, lash out at some point, and that's why you're seeing a lot of that. What you can do is you can control yourself, and through controlling yourself, you can control a woman. That's why I talk about my book, The Unbreakable Rules of Masculinity, and that's where man has failed. He's allowed women to control him. A lot of men were manipulated. Alexander the Great was wholly controlled by his mother.
Napoleon, I think, Josephine, although I do have to read more in the Napoleon book to find out. But also what you're talking about reminds me of the goddess Kali, the Hindu goddess Kali over here, who went into a mad rage, although I don't remember how she calmed down. I know, Remus, you're pretty expert at this. Do you remember what exactly happened there? And what is the lesson to be drawn from Kali?
Well, Kali's a different thing. She spoke about it in a different energy. I can't remember exactly how she calms down, but I think Shiva just like gets up or some shit. He calms her in some weird,
involves
way.
Coom, put it that way. Yeah.
He does some Shiva thing, right?
Some Shakti energy.
Yes. But ultimately, Kali's a little bit like she's the truth. I don't know how to explain it in a different way. She's the truth that burns you, but it makes you better.
Well, it's creation and the destruction has to come before creation.
Mm-hmm. She's highly tamasic.
Yeah.
She's the tamasic form, right? So, but she's still divine. She's still deva. So it doesn't manifest in a way that's like bad. It's just destructive. Yeah.
So would it be fair to say that all the things that we're experiencing right now, all the things that we're constantly criticizing, it is a human test. It is something that we are faced with, where we are kind of faced with the truth. Like, this is what's going on. How are we going to make it out of it? I know, like, Hotep Jesus, do you take the idea that everything that happens, I mean, it's kind of a cliche, but that everything that happens for a specific reason, that everything is given to us as a test for our spirit to overcome in the life that we live?
I don't know. Maybe. I don't know. I look at. So let's take we have an individual, right? And life is pretty much decision making, this or that. So if we were to play the average RPG, or even one of those, read one of those books where, you choose this path or that path. Life is very much like that. Now, what I say is, it's like that old nursery rhyme, row your boat gently down the stream. Merrily, 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 life is but a dream. See, life can be a dream if you're in the stream, but if you're on the side walking, and life can be hard. The sun might be beating on you, so on and so forth. You spend that energy, but you catch a good stream, you sit back, and it's the lazy river for you. That's how I look at life, and I think that sometimes we make decisions where, when we're not in alignment, we sort of hop out of that boat, and now we're walking. For example, it could be the decision between getting up and exercising and not. Right, one could lead us down a path that leads us to, some sort of great fortune, whereas the other path might lead to a different path. I don't think there's one path per se, but I do believe that there's always, or at some point, that door probably closes, but there's always that open door to hop in that stream and say, hey, okay, you can take the easy path by doing the righteous thing, waking up when you say you're going to wake up, not procrastinating, not doing wrong by people, making those right decisions. I mean, your life can change in a flash, just based upon road rage, right? It goes from, hey, you could have went home and been playing PlayStation with the kids, or you could be in jail because you punched some guy in the face because he cut you off at the red light. That option was always yours. And obviously those two paths are going to lead down two different results, right? So, I don't know if life is that linear where, we're always given tests per se. I think we are tested at times, but I think there's infinite possibilities. But I do believe there's that probably a divine path that everyone has the option to follow.
Well, with the, and that was really well said. Well, with the divine path, one of the things that we're going to be talking about with Giorgiani afterwards next week, what I wanted to ask you as well before we get to Larry Elder, and it's not related to Larry Elder at all, but I just don't want to forget that. It is this idea that I've had that everything that we're experiencing, it is like a very much a mystery school idea that everything that we're experiencing in life is thought, a dream, like you said. The dream of God, that we're all one thing that's split up into all these individual ego beings that think that they're a part of everything, that they're apart from everything. But like the more you meditate, the more you go into this deep state, you start to see that you are all branches of a single thing. And I'm curious, like in your own life and your own experience, do you notice hints that point you to that same conclusion, or do you think something different? Or let me know.
What conclusion?
The conclusion that we are all, I mean, again, it's a very hippie thing to say, but we are all one. That we are all just this one thing that thinks that it's this separate being.
Yeah, I think we're all one. I think everything in the universe is part of one big energy. And then that energy is multiplied into another infinite bundle of energies in an infinite pattern. Universes inside of universes, outer space and inner space. But yeah, these are the mysteries of life we can, postulate and contemplate. But I don't know.
I don't think it's just about contemplation, though, because I think that there is a certain roadmap people can start utilizing, like I said before, breathing techniques, meditation, all that, where you can start to slowly get from one level to another.
Well, good work,
I think the problem is the separation between science and mysticism. Science is the physical representation of mysticism. Mysticism manifests as science. You see that in some of those natural patterns of life, right? Like pi, where pi pops up in certain situations. And then what's the other pattern that our joints are based upon? Fibonacci sequence, right? The Fibonacci sequence. And we see how God manifests as math and
well, even our faces, like I always talk about
golden
ratio. Not just the golden ratio, but the distance from the chin to the nose is equal from the nose to the iridge, from the iridge to the start of the hair. And how also the face is a fractal version of the body, where the nipples are like the eyes, the third eye is like the heart, the diaphragm is like the nose, and the stomach is like the mouth. So it makes sense to me how this form is a good form if you were God and if you were to create a particular form to explore existence with. I think this would be a good one. That's why I believe other
the
aliens.
Human form?
The human form.
You think it'd be the most premium?
I think that there are levels to the human form where you could probably get a little bit more, you could become more of like a god or a thought form or whatever, where you would be able to manipulate or exist in a kind of dreamlike reality that is not as limiting as this form. But then when I take a look at the amount of rules that, let's say, rocks have, like stones, minerals, they have the most amount of rules because there's a very limited amount of things that they could do other than just exist. Then we get to plants, less rules. We get to animals, less rules. Then we get to human beings, less rules. But I don't think it stops there. So like one of the meanings I think of freedom is also freedom from desire. That's like a thing that a lot of philosophers have talked about, and why I think a lot of religions strive to have people not rely so much on these,
freedom from desire.
Yeah, freedom from desire.
Like with the intention to kill it.
With the intention to not repeat a cycle. So like Buddha always
Suspend
talked
its
about.
to master
Yeah.
machinations,
to master it.
Exactly.
Oh, to master it.
Like Buddha, yeah.
Well-
The Buddha had this. He didn't need to do anything that he didn't. I
There's
no food, there's no water, there's no all of that. That's the idea.
I don't subscribe to that at all.
Interesting.
Yeah,
So
I
you're
think
saying that
that's
desire
actually
is more of like
it's
a
it's a superpower. That's the human superpower. If you didn't have a desire, your podcast wouldn't be successful.
But there's different
Interesting.
desires out there, and I think different levels for people to grasp at. Where if you have a desire to sit in your goon cave and just goon out all the time, that's
Desire's
like a lower.
productive.
It's a
Yeah.
double-edged sword, like
That's
any other
correct.
thing, though.
Correct.
Yeah.
It's a double-edged sword. And that's why Hotep's focus on self-mastery, because a desire can be great or it could be poison.
It didn't
It depends.
Mysticism-
It depends on what you desire.
Yeah.
You talked about, me being a part of like a more, I would say, unison, or like an energy that is within multiple energies that bundled into another energy and whatnot. And that had me thinking about how a lot today we now incentivize a lot of people to go against the natural, I would say, energies that sort of manifests itself in a certain archetype. So like for a male, it would be, being masculine. If for females, it'd be being feminine.
They're trying to
And-
directly obliterate it. They're not just like adversarial. They're like actively murderous to that idea. They don't want people to be male or female. They want to
Right.
destroy male or female. Like
Right.
active,
Which is interesting, by the way. I have
Yeah.
like a sort of like thesis as to why, especially those in government and whatnot are intellectuals. They push this sort of I would say gender ideology. It is sold as sort of, hey, you get to be anything you want, like you can be this or that, or you can,
I'm a
like, flip
kangaroo.
around.
Yeah,
Yeah, you could be-
without any work too. That's what pisses me off about the furry community, because they just dress up in
My
these
finger.
animal suits and all of a sudden think that they're these. There's not that much work
And
there.
there's a lot of time and effort to make those things.
Yeah.
But at the
Okay,
same
fine,
time,
but
By the way,
they
this
buy
is what
those
Lev
And
things.
money.
believes in.
And
By
money.
the way, this is what Lev believes in.
yeah,
And-
that's
Animism.
his true
and-
Jack
and here's
That's
the thing.
animism right there.
Yeah, it's the best.
And here's the thing, like
Infinite friends.
it is being sold as, like you can turn to any gender you want at any time, just with like a flip of whatever, like as your emotions dictate, you can like change to whatever gender you want. But what I found is that in this thing that is being sold as something that makes you unique, those who subscribe to the ideology looks eerily similar, pale skin, maybe a lot more piercings, cut their hair short and whatnot. And so they sort of look like a single, like they all look the same,
Mm.
and because
NPCs.
they could, and because they can change the gender, like, I could do this, I could do that. You are now, because it's almost like this, you play a video game and you get 50 characters, and because you have 50 characters, you didn't put in the time to level up each one, and so each character is at level 1, as
Exactly.
opposed to using one character and leveling that up, connecting with your nature, connecting with the energies that most resonate with you, and leveling that single thing up. We're now telling younger people, hey, you can be this, you can be that, you can be this, you can be that. And they're because they think they can embody masculinity and
They're
embody
refusing to
femininity,
pick a main.
very
That's
like
hilarious.
essential
You need to have
energies.
a main for sure.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh,
They're
God.
refusing
You
to
could
pick a
do
main.
as I was once told very wisely. You could
Yeah.
do anything you want in this world, just not everything.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, we could even see that in the designs that are picked up. For example, Hotep Jesus, I'm sure you've noticed the kind of flags that are being shown off as far as the pride flags, transgender flag, gay flag, whatever. It's just these very bright colors. Compare that to something like this crest over here. Like they have family crests, countries have crests. There's like representations of, dragons and unicorns and lions and shit like that. And when you compare that, or even, certain symbols that countries have, something that's very primordial, to just these color-coded flags that don't really stand for anything, it's so weak, it's so empty. So there's this emptiness.
Why are there cavemen in the crest, by the way?
I think that's supposed to be Hercules. I'm not sure, but it's like it's all very, it's all about mythology. It's all about.
What is this?
I have no idea what the specific one is, but
yeah, that's Hercules for sure. That's the Nemean lion skin.
Yeah, so there we go. So it's like it all connects to something deeper than just these bright primary colors. And that's what I think also visually is fucking people up. Same thing with flat design. Like Hotep Jesus, I don't know if you've heard of flat design or not.
Yeah.
You've probably, like you've seen the advertisements and all that. I think that these are things that intellectually start to deteriorate young people over time when they're just exposed to this kind of art style, as opposed to, like, I don't know, Looney Tunes back in the day, or, Bugs Bunny, Elmer Fudd, the Tasmanian Devil. Like, I don't know what kind of cartoons your kids like to. Actually, that's a good question. What kind of cartoons do your kids like watching today?
They watch mostly anime.
There we go. That's what I'm talking
Let's
about.
go.
Got him.
Oh,
Yeah, I got them
no.
early.
Got him. Gio, you can't compete.
Sometimes that's not good though.
Sometimes, yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely not.
The thing that's best on anime is that there's a very strong, like, conquer your weak, like, there's a very strong underlying, like, trope about, like, working hard and, like, conquering yourself and, like, self-mastery, and which would align a lot with what you were saying about Hotepism, which I think is missed when you have all the weirdos with the hentai. So
Yeah.
Friendship as well. I mean, friendship is like pushed to an extreme. I mean,
family,
like,
friendships. Yep.
yeah.
It's literally the power of friendship is like a trope. That defeats the enemy at the end of things consistently. The power of friendship is a pretty huge cop out, but still.
Well, that's another thing that has been kind of a meme, but I think it's very true that a lot of young black people, especially, really dig One Piece, Dragon Ball. A lot of these. I mean, Verse, you're muted right now.
God, Lev.
I was just saying, let's go, but yeah, it's true.
It's true. Naruto.
Everyone in the hood's seen Dragon Ball. Dragon Ball Z
I know,
is
Lev.
and
Can your
Naruto
people be
doesn't-
racist though?
The
Wait,
Jews?
what do you mean?
Or the Russians? The Russians are pretty good at it.
Yeah.
No, I know Russians are good at racism. No, I mean, never mind. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it.
No, I think the reason why the
Do you get
stereotype
an exception? Do you get exception from the?
I have no
racism?
idea. No, I think the reason why the stereotype makes sense was what Hotep Jesus was talking about earlier in the show, that there is this warrior class that I think a lot of higher ups are trying to stamp out, but things like Dragon Ball resonates with that warrior energy, and I think that there is a lot lacking in Cartoon Network, let's say today, or like shows like Steven Universe. I used to go with. I used to be a classmate of Rebecca Shirkers back in the day, but you know what? Like all this very soft stuff that a lot of kids are exposed to, same thing with the rainbow flags and all that. It's I don't know. I think there is going to be a split, like Hotep Jesus said in the beginning, where you are going to have people who are more, closer to the earth or are raised in a certain way where they value family, they value being able to have control over one's over oneself, discipline, all that stuff. And then there's going to be other people who are just going to be tuned into the VR Goon Cave pod bug eating experience, and I don't know what to say there. Like that's just what's
Well,
I think that's already happening, isn't it?
Well, I would say that learning about these values, about hard work and about family and whatnot in the context of Dragon Ball Z or Naruto is way, way better than the alternatives, which is your child going to school and learning about adopting the hero archetype, but in the context of revolution, right? The idea that your children are essentially being taught their I would say their ability to gain value and to become the heroes of their stories, being hijacked by these ideologues who teach them, well, to become is to destroy, right? By destroying pre-existing values, hierarchies, the pre-existing culture, you are becoming something. And this is not so like your child can have like a complex worldview. This is obviously because these ideologues are revolutionaries, and if they can hijack the Judeo-Christian drama, which is, we've all fallen short of the glory of God, and we all have an ability to reunite with Him and meet Him with heaven if we, adopt good more, if we become more betters of ourselves. They essentially hijack that, and add a Marxist twist to it, by the way. Like with critical race theory, it would be we all fallen, well, not we all fallen short of the glory of God, but certain blacks have fallen short of this, fallen, not in the context of God, but fallen in the context of being born or being a part of whiteness, right? This white supremacy, white racial dominant culture. They've fallen, and they're always in a racial caste system that doesn't allow them to embody that hero archetype. And the only door, conveniently, the only door that's given to them to become a hero is to destroy whiteness, which we now know the currents have been uncovered, is rugged individualism, Protestant work ethic.
Why do you think there's such an attack on white men right now?
Well, I would say that I wouldn't even necessarily say it is white men. I would say that these ideas when these ideas manifest, it manifests as animosity against a white man in character. But what this I would say hatred of the white man is purely ideological. So what consists of whiteness?
Yeah, white women get a pass though as being
religion,
the guardians of the system.
Say that again.
Well, white women get a pass though because they're like the guardian gatekeepers of the system, the awful, the affluent.
Well,
white liberal.
Alexander Bart says that they're the ones who are running the gay pride events, even though they're not even gay.
Yeah.
Well, it's the same thing. Like the white women, they're the ones that really control the ideological dominance in America, you could argue.
I know. Hotep Jesus, do you agree with that?
Yeah, the mall run.
Oh, definitely. Definitely. Wait, have you seen... Let me tell you something, right? If you go to a high school social media, like if you follow certain people in the high school social media thing, whether it be Instagram or whatnot, who are the people who are posting the most of the social justice warrior, topic of the day, who has all the donate to BLM links in their bios, the she-hers in their bio? It is always, in every single case, progressive white females
or white
who live in Park Slope, Manhattan, right? Who live in Manhattan, Park Slope, all these Red Hook, like all these different wealthy neighborhoods. They're the only ones posting it. And then you got a few guys here and there who put the he, him in the bio because maybe I can get, laid if I put the he, him in the bio, Like I gotta But it is mostly, almost entirely.
So why is this attack happening?
Well, let me finish the explanation against white men. I would say that this attack is primarily in the philosophical sense, right? What does whiteness mean, right? What does white mean to these intellectuals? What does man mean to these intellectuals? Man is the manifestation, the physical manifestation of masculinity, right? Of order, right? And
it's the majoritarian face. That's like the face of the white man is the majoritarian to, that's like a Deleuzian thing, but to them it's like the face of the visage of the white man is the visage of power itself.
Well, but Hotep Jesus' question is like, why? Why is this the case? Why is this happening?
Well, why is this the case? I think it's revolution, to be honest. If you look at what they describe as white and what they describe as, if you look at what they describe philosophically, which manifests as white male, right? Because we know that ideas don't exist in a vacuum, and if you play them out in the real world, even though people on CNN will say this all the time. Oh, well, critical race theory doesn't say all white people are racist, but if the idea of the metaphysical assertion of critical race theory is that racism is the ordinary state of society, then the natural physical manifestation of that is all white people are racist because they're beneficiaries of this white supremacy system. I think it's revolution, right? Because if your definition is of whiteness is individualism, is families, all these things that matter to create a free society, right? And you're all these things that are needed to make a free society, and you propose an ideology that is in direct opposition, right? Conveniently, right? It would be different if there was some overlap between between classical liberalism and or Western ideas and this new wokeism, but they happen to completely contradict each other in like every single, like, metaphysically, epistemologically, in every single way. And so I think that, and when, again, because ideas don't exist in vacuums, when people play these ideas out in the real world, then, oh, I hate life, he's a white male. But what does white male symbolize? That we need to look, the ideas behind them, right? What does it mean to them? To intellectuals, whiteness means individualism, family, all these values that need a free society. Masculinity, or what is a man a direct manifestation of? Masculinity, order, establishing order, dominance. All these different values are necessary to create establish a free and orderly society.
Well, what do you think, Hotep Jesus? What do you think?
Yeah.
Given what Daniel said, how do you think like this is playing out in the real world?
Because white man only one that got that sauce.
Oh, that's so the material conditions. That's
white man's got a monopoly on violence. You've seen it throughout history. Nobody has been as brutal as the white man. And I think that's what they're afraid of. They're afraid of him pulling a 1776. I don't see, for example, you look at a black revolution, they're like, I don't know what they got, the Black Lives Matter, they're like dancing and twerking in front of cops. White men ain't about that. They not doing no twerking. If they show up, it's going to be some action. And they realize
that's the Jigga Chad image.
It's on site.
Yeah, it's on site.
They're not playing games.
Yeah, there's a line once it's crossed. It's
all of a sudden
nice
it's IRA.
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah. Once you cross that white man, it's a wrap for your ass. They're a little crazy. So
It's like that line that Sam Hyde said. It's called the knockout game, and soon white people are gonna get tired of playing it.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah. So
do you think this emphasis on having white women perform the duties of the, I would say, the left is an attempt to try to die down that to I would say emasculate or maybe have like, because do you think, let me rephrase, do you think that having white women especially take part in these politics, making them or having them post all these things, organize gay events even though they're not gay and whatnot, do you think this is happening in attempt to try to stop that the white man from
what happens things happen naturally and organically.
Okay.
And what the powers that be do is they recognize things they can contort towards their benefit. So something may start organically and then later on become astroturfed. And I think that's what happens. Things start off organically and they go, oh, if we add a little bit of spice to this, if this can work in our favor. And if we support this leader in this faction over the other leader in this faction, it'll lead them into a more liberal way of life or a more socialist way of life. And so simply by omission and favor, you can shape any organization with, for example, let's say I came, let's say all you guys are a part of a company, but I came and I said, hey, I'd love to invest, $10 million into this media corporation, but Lev can't be a part of it. Or if he is, I don't want him to be an equity owner. It might be in Lev's interest is to bow out and tell you guys, hey, pay me on the back end. But you can see how money can start to strong arm people and manipulate organizations and situations.
But it seems like everything that the powers that be, whatever you want to call them, are doing right now seem to intensify the anger that a lot of people, let's say, like we were just talking about right now, it may not show up for a while. I mean, one of the things that I always try to fight against, despite there being a lot of people on Twitter who are constantly fighting at me for not supporting it, I am completely against all forms of authoritarianism, totalitarianism. I am Geo. And my point here is that I can see that every episode, no, I could see that these are things that happen throughout history when people are pushed to the brink. If the elites are so fucking smart, why would they push people to the brink to enact the kind of system that I don't think anybody really wants to see?
It's a honey trap, just like the six. It's like, yeah, they had legitimate gripes on the six, but when you got agents opening up the Capitol and then running investigations on everybody and then using that to leverage negative media against Trump and his following and label an entire group of people terrorists, you can see why they'll allow things to happen. Like I said, they can take anything that you do and make it work towards their benefit if you're not extremely careful. But
judo master.
Exactly. Just because like it's like haters, like when Cat Williams said, if you ain't got no haters, you better go get you some, or if you got some, you figure out how to get another one, right? Because energy is energy and you can use it and transmute it to your benefit. But the thing is, the people that are rising up that they give attention to are usually not the people that are really going to be effective in the rising up. Bunch of boomers outside the Capitol on the six ain't gonna change much, right? So you highlight that and say, hey, ha 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 ha, look at these people, and then you think to yourself, you become quite discouraged, or morale among the troops might lower because you see how demonstrating can be used against you and call you insurrectionists and so on and so forth. So now you're back to the drawing board. But had you been a more strategic unit, for example, I always talk about this. Farrakhan has this event. He had it a couple of times, Million Man March, right?
Yeah.
And there's a complete media blackout on that every single time. And not only by white media, but also quote unquote black media, which is technically white liberal owned.
Like a BET?
The Viacom properties, exactly.
Yeah.
So you don't even see any of that media cover it. So why? Why is it when, and obviously it's not a million black people, but it's a huge amount of black people congregate in the state capitol. Why is there tons of cameras at the six, but none for the Farrakhan event? Well, obviously it's because that Farrakhan event might actually be effective in transforming how the black community operates. So they have to have a media blackout, and they can't support it at all because that right there is very effective. Now, I can't say it's Farrakhan per se, but the example that's given during that day is something that you're not going to see often because there's a lot of business and commerce that takes place on that day, and that's obviously socialists don't like capitalism.
It's an effective display of power, not force, but power.
Correct.
Yeah.
It's not the kind where you're sitting around whining and complaining and whatnot and protesting. It's just a flex of power. That's exactly that. Great point, Remus.
But what do you think, Hotep Jesus, then? If white men are being suppressed, if black men especially are being suppressed, then what is your picture of the ruling class? Who is the ruling class? Who are they, them?
Lizards. Draconian lizards from another planet.
It might as well be. It's true. I mean, it's
Facts.
People laugh, but the way they act, they might as well. Yeah.
Demonic
It's a lizard.
Nah, I mean, let's reel it back in. There's always that theory. If we played a game, all of us, right? We had a treasure hunt.
Mm-hmm.
They dropped us off on an island. We see those island reality TV shows. Some people make it, some people don't. And we see how people that make it, sometimes how they act, sometimes they're benevolent, sometimes they're malevolent. I think that at some point, a group of people monopolized the game. I've actually, like people talk about European power. European power in my book, Patriot Report, Unmasking the Conspiracy of Money and War. I mean, the kings were financed by people, and kings are going bankrupt. Kingdoms are going bankrupt. France, their kings went through bankruptcy. So it's like when you think of king, you think of, oh, he must be the guy with the gold. And it's like, no, he ain't the one with the gold. He the one borrowing gold. So it's like, okay, well, who's had this power? So then when you start looking at some of the global financial institutions that were established, some of the private banking institutions that set up shop in Europe and then extended their tentacles into the European money markets, those are the people who actually have control. And like I said before, this ain't really about male, female, black or white. It's about, my family won the game first. So all you guys are subject to me, how I decide to change the rules. Your family didn't take its 5 sons and spread them across 5 different nations in Europe and set up a banking syndicate and then fund wars, right? And to bankrupt nations further to our benefit. We didn't bend and manipulate markets to create panics and so on and so forth. So when you say who's controlling it, well, I mean, it's in my book, Patriot Report, Unmasking Conspiracy of Money and War, to say exactly all the names that are in there.
Now,
it's not even a mystery.
Just
do they share some commonalities though?
But all right, no. I know where this is. I know where this is going. I know. No,
I'm just fucking with you,
Hotep Jesus. Hotep Jesus. I have been so used to this happening that when it happens, it just goes around me like a gentle breeze, like a gentle fucking breeze. And here's
it like Shiva.
Here's what I would say. Here's what I would say about that. Got him by the nose. Throughout Gio, behave. Okay, throughout history, there's always going to be gaps of power. There's always going to be opportunities for people to grab. If it's not going to be one person, from a particular group or from another group, it's going to be from a different group. Yeah. You're never going to have, in the modern condition, in the condition where you would have ships crossing from one part of the world to another, let alone the printing press, let alone the telegraph and all the things that we have now. You're going to have
one group understood how detrimental it is to integrate. How detrimental it is to the survival of your people to amalgamate. They've also mastered the ability to not assimilate, yet still profit. So we won't assimilate to your cultures, but we will profit off your culture and we will manipulate your culture. But we will not change our culture to bend to your culture. And I think that's what gives them power.
I would counter that by saying that same group has, and it's not really something that you would be able to put on a piece of paper, but that same group has been the one that's been assimilating, if we're talking about Europe, so much over the centuries that you wouldn't really know it.
Well, I'm talking about in its inception. Over time, I think that the clash of cultures leads to some sort of watering down of all cultures. You just kind of can't help it from living in close proximity. It's still strange to me because in another reality, if let's say that group was not around, I would not say that all of a sudden, because there's the advent of the printing press and all the other things that ended up connecting different groups together, that occupation would be completely empty, that nobody from any group of people would be able to go in there. Well, that's why we just say, hey, group A, group B, group C, right? Because they're really variables. So somebody obviously could have been anybody. I mean, capitalism was created in Africa. So money was created in Africa. So if anybody wants to be angry at that, they got to go back to that. Sure. But, when it comes to the conquering of a people, for example, what they would do is they understood man's vices. So one of them happened to be alcohol. So what they would do is they would lend beer and alcohol on credit, and then people would leverage their own land. And then, and then before you know it, your addiction leads to you being a slavery on the land that you once owned. And then you also had situations where, like during Prohibition, certain groups were allowed a certain amount of alcohol while the average U.S. citizen was not. So, that's why I say is like there's assimilation until it's like really important. And then it's just like, nah, we ain't assimilating. We're special. You see that with groups like the Amish. The Amish are not subject to this global, bam, bam, whatever it is, right? The global bug. They're carrying on, eating their raw milk and doing whatever the hell they were doing, but they don't have to worry about mandates because they understood the power they lose in assimilating to somebody else's culture. And that's what I'm asserting is that if you can remain in balance but stay separate, you can keep power. I think the biggest problem with Black people today is they want assimilation. They want to be included in things like, oh, the Grammys. It's just like, oh, so you're mad because a group of white people created an award show and then gave themselves awards. Like,
Yeah,
it's true.
Like, what are you mad about? Like, why don't you go create your own award and then you can give it to yourself? Wait, oh, I get it. It's because the white man's award is more prestigious than your award, So again, it's the assimilation factor that hurts groups of people. But if you can learn to stay separate but cooperate, you see that a lot with the Indian community. They and even the Asian community, they come and, their name might be Jing Zhang or whatever, but he's going to say his name's Ben. When he go home, he ain't Ben, no. He's Jing Zhang, right? And when it's time to celebrate their cultural holidays, he's going to dress like Jing Zhang. Now, he might wear a suit and tie into the office for the benefit of his own economics. But his loyalty might go back to Japan or China or whatever it is. Sometimes when people put on their suit and tie, their loyalty is not to a group. It's usually to the individual. And that's another problem. I think a lot of people stress too much the power of individualism because I think the power is actually in creating tribes and not so much. I mean, the tribe obviously is a group of individuals, and you want those individuals to be strong. But, you really got to roll in packs out here because that's how they're rolling. When you think about the powers that be and how they intermarried, this one, all right, I'm going to hook you up with my niece, right? Your son with my niece. Cool. And he keep the money and the power in the family, But yeah.
Well, I don't know about Xinjiang per se, but what I can say is if we're talking about the Russian Empire, the situation there was, let's say, for my own people, for the Jews, there was a limit of about, I think, like 15% or maybe even 5%, something like that, of people who can go to college.
Yeah.
And a lot of Jewish people wanted to go. They couldn't. There was fierce competition there.
The discrepancy between the Jews and Europe was the assimilation factor, and that's what a lot of people didn't agree with. Was the
that was it was a religious one. That's the other thing, by the way. It wasn't a racial one.
Well, for example, when you look at Albion, like Albion didn't carry on things such as advertising. So when they brought advertising per se, like signs that say, "Hey, this is the bakery," or competition, that wasn't something that was practiced in that particular culture, So, but they would come and they wouldn't respect that way of life, and they would continue to operate in their own, sometimes on the outskirts of society, sometimes inside the society. And it came to a point, it became a detriment for the original inhabitants of that land. And whenever you uproot the way of life for the original inhabitants of a land, you're going to get a rebellion.
What is Albion, by the way?
That's the whole peoples of Great Britain.
Yeah, the Anglos.
Yeah.
But again, just for the record, I just want to say I don't believe that it's just Lev's people that are the ruling class.
No.
They have a disproportionate amount, but I mean,
but again, to
I don't ironically think we're being run by demons right now. So
I think what it comes down to is a lack of maturity on everybody's part. Is a lack of maturity on the Albion side, and there's a lack of maturity on Lev's people's side. Anytime we have these discrepancies, the state seems to get involved, and the state is using our inability to cooperate to increase its power. And that's why Lev's people were persecuted. Now, because two groups of people didn't know how to live together, therefore the state had to come in and do something, or people took over the state in order to do something. I'm not saying that Lev's peoples were wrong. I'm just saying that they weren't exactly clean either.
Yeah,
I would never say that one group would be clean or unclean.
Right.
If we do go back to what ended up happening during the Russian Empire days, it was the church, the Orthodox Christian Church, the one that did a lot of the pogroms, the ones that kind of instructed neighbors to go out and to persecute. And really, there was no reason to, if we're just talking about people like my great-grandma or even my grandma, no different than just like an average German farmer's wife. So as far as any
don't
kind
rebel for no reason.
yeah, there's. Yeah.
Well, I would say that when it comes to the kind of relationship that they had over there, I don't see any reason why a church authority would all of a sudden want people to go and massacre another group of people. You know what I mean? Like they literally were not doing anything to have that kind of response. And if there are people out there who, let's say,
like you have to go to this
Leon
one
Trotsky,
site. It's called the Daily Storm. No,
okay. We do. I get it. We do get people coming out of the woodwork. Like Leon Trotsky or like other communists. And that is another thing, by the way. People always emphasize the percentage. That's complete bullshit if you actually look at the total percentage of communists. But anyway, the point Bolsheviks, yes, exactly. but the point, Hotep Jesus, that I'm getting to here is that if you're talking about advertising in Albion, I would be very weirded out to think that, let's say, if all of a sudden back then during the during the Old Testament days, the UFO would have landed, and instead of just giving the instructions, they would have taken all the Hebrews out to their planet or whatever. If that would have happened, for example, I still think there would have been advertising. I still think all the things that we are seeing today would have been done by somebody else. Look at the French Revolution as an example of... Well, it depends on what was and what wasn't. The French Revolution wasn't. If we're talking about communism, that wasn't either. If we're talking about like figures like Rousseau, other intellectuals, German intellectuals, French intellectuals that cemented a lot of these ideas over time, I can never point and say this was the group that was responsible for yada, yada, yada.
No. All you crackers is guilty.
Oh, no. As an Italian, I'm an honorary black person, so
it worked out a certain way is all it is. In this particular timeline, this is how it laid out.
Nah, I just think that I think one group of people figured the game out before everybody else. It's like, oh, we're playing conquer. Okay, cool. What's the fastest way to conquer? Well, first thing we have to do.
You mean like white people, like colonialism?
It's wargaming.
Yeah.
There's a meta game.
There's also like consider like BAP has this whole thing about like the part of the reason why the Jews do so well in like urbanized countries is because they were already in a more like urbanized like
they've already done it.
They did it before. That was like their
you used quoting von Brandenburg.
They're adapted for it.
They dealt in trading. They dealt in economics. They understood the power of economics. That's what they understood. People who control economics control nations. If you control the money, you control the nation. That's why you have so many of Lev's people with the name Goldman, because they dealt in gold, right? This is how Europeans were, even Germans, if your name is Schumacher, that means your dad was a shoemaker, right? So your name...
Joel Schumacher, Batman and Robin.
There you go.
Also based Michael Schumacher, the F1 driver. Greatest of all time.
Yeah. So, when you look at these names told you what these people dealt with, right?
Yep. Smith,
yes. Goldsmith, right?
Yeah. I noticed, like, you have to consider the very common names of Cohen, which is priest, and then so intellectual class, and then Goldman.
Yeah. That's a tribe name though thing, right? Like that's more than just but this is to the larger point that like of course, names have always been designation. It's
I have
unless you're royal.
I have a tremendous amount of respect for the path that Lev's people have taken. I think it's freaking genius. and I think that everybody should learn from it. And I think if we
But-
all learn from it, the
But
world
when
will
you
be
say,
better.
but when you say Lev's people, when you say
Yeah.
my people, we're still not talking about, let's say, we're not talking about somebody like Osip Mandelstam, for example, who was a Russian Jewish poet. We're not talking about people who have actually gone out of their way to contribute not just works of art, but also you
Einstein.
name it, science. And although Einstein
Bobby
slept.
Fischer.
Yeah, well,
Wait, Bobby Fischer too?
Yes,
Bobby
Gio.
Fischer.
Yes, Gio.
Oh my god.
Well, actually, I have kind of a thing with Einstein, though, when it came to him sleeping with a Soviet agent, but that's neither here nor there. The point that I'm getting to here, though, is that...
You know what's funny about Bobby Fischer? He recently had he had all those anti-Trump takes, but now he recently had a Bidong thing. I regret voting for him. Damn.
Did you know Jews used to run the NBA? Were the predominant, it was mostly a Jewish thing.
Boxing.
They were
there were a
kicking-
lot of
They
amazing
were kicking
Jewish
black
boxers, too.
man's ass on the basketball court.
Oh, on the court,
people think that
from the early,
in the early days, black
Yeah.
man couldn't beat
Well,
that Jewish man. No basketball.
boxing as well.
Yeah.
I mean,
boxing, yeah.
Well, today also, if you look at the Klitschko brothers, I don't know what exactly they're up to right now, but they were doing pretty well for a long time.
Yeah.
But
we're all humans. Though,
Yeah.
It's
No, but
just that we
the
have
point that
these-
I'm getting to is that for the people who think that if you were to do something to get rid of one group of people that I don't like, then all of a sudden everything would be exactly as it should be. I think that is complete rubbish.
Oh, definitely
Because
not.
again, all these
I
tendencies.
just know that when I start my tribe, my people we're definitely gonna call ourselves the chosen ones.
Smart.
I think that's a very great placebo effect on a tribe of people to say that you are the supreme amongst and everybody else are, they're just hoi polloi. But us, we're the supreme. That's just genius. You know what I mean? And that's something that
when you're
Until
finally
Christ
out.
came along and then gave it to all the other people of the earth.
Well, when you're finally out of that very tribal, very close knit setting of being part of the religious community, when you all of a sudden decide to, and that's the interesting thing, by the way, here is that there seemed to be this back and forth push-pull thing happening with, let's say, Jewish people who were living in the periphery of society, where I'm sure that there were many people out there, who did not want to live in this little, how do they call it, mistechka, or however they would refer to as...
That was
Yeah, there we go. Yeah. So in shtetl, or whatever you want to call it. Instead,
ghetto, yeah.
Instead, what did they want to do? They wanted to integrate. And again, I don't know the numbers, but from what I understand, Jewish people in general have integrated throughout the centuries in Europe the most. At that point, you would say, well, is this person who is a successful whatever? Are they Jewish? Do they have any Jewish blood? At that point, how do you even fucking know?
it's the early life section.
Well,
No,
again,
you have-
there
you
is no
have-
there
you
is no
have a-
early life section there. It's already
had
been.
a great desire amongst especially American Jews to assimilate, a great desire. In fact, that's how Hollywood came to be, was that desire to contribute to the culture of America. Warner and 20th Century Fox, all that was their desire. They were actually pushed out, people wouldn't allow them to participate in society. That's why many of them changed their names and so on and so forth. And but you're right, they did have a desire to assimilate. Absolutely. I'm not going to say all of them didn't. When I say that, I'm talking about at the seed level. You
But
see, later on, the key of it is the culture.
But at that point, why does it matter? Where, for example, we have this comment from Godward Podcast, very often listening to the show. Thank you for listening, Godward. He says, Lev, this is such a fake talking point. If this one people didn't rule, someone would rule. Yeah, but the leaders could be my people, not some other people. So
yeah, I wish they was my people.
It's a matter of intent, though. That's not really.
yeah, no. But I want to comment on that.
It's
because
a historical question. It's
No,
how did this particular group get to the
Sure,
top?
yeah, and that's very fascinating.
To learn about,
I agree. It's very fascinating to look at and to learn
I think that's
from.
the problem,
but-
though, is that we can discuss it freely and openly without some kind of attachment to it either way. On one end, you have the libs who are you can't talk about race or ethnicity whatsoever. That's evil.
Yeah.
Then on the other hand, you have very extreme, kind of almost performative, Wignat, 4chan Paul. Like they rule everything and they're evil and they genetically just supposed to hate the white man. Like it's I don't know, like both extremes.
No, but I want
as,
to
you know,
I want to answer
Godward's.
I want to answer Godward's point though, because if we're talking about, but yeah, the leaders could be my people, not some other people. Why would you think that in the modern, and again, I could be wrong, but why would you think that in the modern interconnected world with a lot of these incentives, your people would not be doing the exact same fucking thing when it comes to all the industries you're talking about here?
Right.
This is what I mean by gaps of power. And what I think also happens is that...
But that's whataboutism.
I don't think it is. No, I don't think it is.
Or
no.
It's Marvel What If. That's what it really is.
I disagree. I don't think it is.
Marvel What If.
No. No, I don't think it is. I'll tell you.
T'Challa was a part of Guardians of the Galaxy. Yeah.
No, completely wrong. Here's no. Here's why I disagree. I don't think it's a Marvel What If at all, because the point. No, let me get to it. The point that Godward's bringing up here
I
is
regret bringing this up. I'm sorry.
No. This is good. So the point that Godward's making is that if there was somebody else, then it would have been done right. The thing that I'm getting to here is that I think a lot of people do have this fantasy, and it's not a what-if fantasy. It's a literal fantasy of what if we go back to something that happened in the 20th century, reenact it. They would say reenact it for real, and afterwards everything would go according to plan. Everything would be nice and harmonious. There wouldn't be anybody that would be exploiting people. And what I'm getting to here is I'm not talking about looking at it as if we went back in time and something different happened. I'm looking at this from a point of view of human nature.
No, but even if that happened,
regardless of whatever the fuck you're going to do, the end point is still going to be gaps of power that anybody who has any amount of brain would be able to exploit, regardless of who they happen to be.
No, but I think that's the problem with that, Lev, is to your point, actually. The problem, like, I think the vast majority of white nationalists, they probably don't believe that, or when they say it's probably just like it's like an edgy thing. But I think, like, the problem, if we were to take that seriously, the problem is that, like, you can't just, like, Roblox a whole, like, I mean, if you were to
it's not even about Robloxing. It's about, okay, I have this information. What do I do?
Let me finish my point, Lev.
Okay.
My point is that if you were to, like, take this project seriously, you're still left with a whole chunk of your own people, whether it be white people, African, or whatnot, that is still spiritually broken on a deep level. And getting rid of, I mean, it may temporarily give you a reprieve or whatever, but that's not really going to solve the issue of how you're going to make your people into a whole again that could have the potential to being great.
There's a big problem with.
Exactly. Every century has a genocide.
It doesn't change much.
Yes, but Gio, there's also a big problem with your entire mindset here, because your mindset, I'm
giving you a point, Lev.
I understand. No. But the mindset is that it's as if this one group did this horrible thing, and then it's all a matter of rebuilding from the ashes. My point is, there's always going to be.
I think anyone who has opinions like that is just lacking life experience. Yeah, the idea that there aren't awful.
It's like people that blame women for all their problems.
It's idiotic. It's inherently idiotic. We shouldn't even.
Although there's more of a basis for that.
There's going to be.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Okay.
However, make sense to want the people who rule you to have an interest in your locality. Let's put it that way.
I agree, but that is why I encourage.
If you're going to be ruled.
Yeah, but that is why I encourage spiritual assimilation, regardless of where you come from, that there is a certain standard that you have to meet. I hope that people would be able to have more of an honorable society in the future. My only point here, Gio, is that it's a fucking fantasy to imagine that if this one group is out of the picture, then we can rebuild from the ashes, where those ashes are going to be filled up by whoever happens to come around and will be able to fill that gap.
The groups vying for that spot right now.
Yeah, there you go.
Mm-hmm.
So again, my
wait.
point, my other point though, real quick,
Oh,
my other
sorry,
point
sorry.
though is that let's say you have this information, Hotep Jesus, like you talked about. Well, what do you want to do with it? Like, do you want people to then just start picking on
Well,
random
I
people that have
explained
nothing to
that.
do with it?
I explained exactly what you do with it. You live and you learn, right? When you understand how people come to power, then you can learn how to cultivate your own power and not become susceptible to other people's power, right? So first understanding that one group of people monopolized alcohol and sort of weaponized alcohol and used people's weaknesses against them,
Yeah.
and saying like, oh wow, like even for example, when we're dealing with the Native Americans, the Native American population wasn't destroyed by guns, as like people like to say. No, what killed them was dependencies upon European economics and drugs and alcohol, right? So that's one lesson to be learned. Hey, maybe you don't need to be taking the next man's drugs. You know, you might want to have a test group for foreign objects before you bring it into your society. That's like very that's at the rudimentary level. But then also understanding, okay, how did these people facilitate their power? What industries did they go into? Are they lawyers? Are they doctors? Are they running Wall Street? Well, maybe these are the things you might want to pay more attention to, because these are the things that are really driving society. There's things that are driving technology. Technology is driven by financial investments.
I definitely agree that these things should be paid attention to.
Yeah.
My only concern, let's say,
I agree, Cream Wizard. I agree.
Is that most people, I hope that they would follow that kind of advice.
Yeah.
But what I end up seeing, that's not the case. I end up seeing that people end up just singling out and scapegoating people that have absolutely zero to do with either banking or financing or whatever, just because they happen to think that there is this component, and once I get rid of this component, then everything's going to be fine.
No, it's more sophisticated than that.
No,
but that happens. That happens naturally.
But it's just some dude on the internet mad because he's broke, right? It's not like a group
no. It
happens
in real life. It happens right now in Brooklyn.
Brooklyn. You can't use Brooklyn as an example. Yeah, the Brooklyn's a very bad example, a very poor example.
There's cultural clashes happening there. There's some poor Hasidic guy walking the street, and then
I know
who happens to be a landlord.
Oh, you can't
right. Like
that's
what I'm saying. Like
Brooklyn's a very unique spot.
It's a very unique
in America.
relationship between the people that control the property and the people that rent them. Again, people don't tend to lash out at people for no reason. And you saw that with the Asian community. I mean, have you ever seen the customer service a black man gets in a Chinese food store? Hurry up and buy. Like it's stereotyped in movies, but people come into, even with the Arab man, sometimes they come into our communities and they profit from our communities. They don't give anything back, and then they have the nerve to even be rude. I saw one Chinese guy was beating black women at a nail salon. They were trying to boycott this spot.
Oh, everyone was cheering that one. They loved that Chinese guy.
Yeah. So
they're like, oh, based. No,
but
nobody's ever innocent in a war.
Yeah.
Neither side's ever innocent.
No, but
this
is the darkness right here, because
what
you're talking about.
But Lev, it's a class thing. It's a class thing.
Hold on one second. Hold on, Lev.
Yes.
Hold on, Lev. Don't play defense attorney.
No.
Hold on.
This is better. This is better than just having some basic white nationalist on, bro.
Like what happens
you can't
is
fight them in the same way.
You feed the tropes of the white nationalists when you become defensive, because they say, look at him get defensive. Look at him. Don't get defensive. Let's have the conversation and let's all be objective about it. I'm giving you a lot of examples. I gave you Asian examples. I gave you Indian examples. And then your people may be an example. But when you bring up Brooklyn to define the global relationship between your people and the rest of the Caucasians, it does not tell the whole picture. It doesn't even tell it historically. And then you want to use Brooklyn as an example where some broke bummy dude hits a rabbi over the head. And it's just like, we don't know. Anytime I see any of these videos between any groups of people, it could be two black guys. And I always ask myself, I wonder what they're fighting about, right? So when I see him hit a dude over the head, How do you know Rabbi didn't cuss him out 2 minutes before and he got mad? Like, you don't know. Like, we always try to have these situations based upon political ideology or racial ideology or religious ideology, when sometimes it's just two individuals who had a bad day or had a bad interaction.
True.
But
That
we
could be one
always
thing, sure.
run, we always
Especially in
run
New
to
York
the
City.
thing that's gonna create hype and headlines and push agendas, right? And that's what we have to be afraid of, because that's exactly what frays us from each other, is when we say, oh my God, there's an epidemic between Black and Jewish people in Brooklyn. And it's like, nah, it happened like a couple of times in 2 weeks.
You mentioned like Asians and
Right.
Arab people. I hate to say it, I'll take the L. Us Italians, we did that shit back in the day before the Asians and Arabs
that's
came
true, like in
against
the
Black
20s.
people. That's very true.
Yeah.
Italian
not-
shop owner and the Black.
It's not
Yeah,
wrong.
But there is a reason why I do bring it up, though, which I hope can have a valid point here. When I was talking before about how the Russian government was, or specifically like the Russian Orthodox Church was creating the pogroms against Jewish people, they were creating pogroms against a particular scapegoat here. It was not a personal vendetta of Ivan against Moshe, where they had something bad happening between them. So
But
if we're
Lev,
talking
how do you know that, man? Like, see, this is the thing.
No, but
all of those
Let him
situations could have
finish.
been created by something.
Let Lev finish. Let Lev finish.
Okay, I'm sure that there are some personal vendettas that have occurred throughout history, just like Hotep Jesus, just like you were saying. At the same time, though, I'm not going to look at those as being the only things that occur. So when there are going to be instances of somebody picking on somebody else purely based on what tribal affiliation they happen to see in them, that I see as something that can exponentially increase over time, as it did in the 20th century, and that's not something that I want to happen. It's as simple as that. That's the only point I want to make there.
Yeah, I get that. But
I agree with that. I don't think.
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
wrong
I don't think anyone
to
disagree with that.
Get attacked and shit.
Yeah.
I think I think these things are always complicated, and as Hotep Jesus said, it's very.
I just know one thing. If my people was on top, I wouldn't be afraid to say it.
Yeah.
I wish my people was on top, and I'm not afraid to say that. I don't know how we would rule. I can't say we'd be better rulers. I would venture to say that we would not be better rulers. I would look at, Hoteps, we like to believe that Black people were the progenitors of ancient Egypt. Well, ancient Egypt, like, oh my God, the way they treated people and the way they were like for some of the first traders of foreign objects. And the inflation of prices based upon, these foreign objects, and trading and so on. So they were heavy dealers in commerce.
They had god kings and slaves.
Yeah.
They're like the rift between the highest and the lowest is beyond
They created
imagination.
poverty.
Exactly.
Poverty was literally created in Africa by Africans. Let's be frank about it, right? Yeah. Because once you create this idea of money, you create a rich and a poor. So you have the haves and the have-nots. So we actually have to take the blame for creating poverty, because we created luxury. Right? So I cannot say that we would rule better or nicer or whatever it may be. All I can speak for myself and say, I wouldn't be afraid to say, yo, we run this shit. Y'all motherfuckers need to get y'all shit together.
Well, personally, I
mean,
don't think I would be welcome in a lot of the media institutions, nor would I want to be a part of them. And that's the other thing. Where
In what institutions?
In any media institution that's very popular among normies right now, I would not be somebody that would be welcome there, nor would they welcome me, because my views are not the same as their views. If we're talking about, I don't know, the Daily Beast, the New Yorker, any of these publications, there is so much of a difference between me and other people who, regardless of whatever tribal affinity.
So what you're saying is, your ideology precedes your culture.
Absolutely. Well, I wouldn't say ideology. You could use that word if you want to. I would say
Your
beliefs, principles. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wealth
Just
and Chong.
Yeah, just the amount of wisdom that I have so far accumulated in my life, thanks
It's
to
not
experiences,
conducive
thanks
with
to
it's not conducive with the mainstream agenda.
no. And I would
Bingo.
say the same. Yeah, and I
So
would say the same thing to a lot
your
of people,
culture
regardless.
your culture then becomes irrelevant.
I would say that when we're talking about culture, it's not a leftist culture. What my culture is if we're talking about like family influences, things like that, it would be closer to like a St. Petersburg intelligentsia of the late 19th century. That's like the closest thing that I
So
would
what you're
say
saying
my
is you don't
culture
have privilege because of your six-sided star.
I'd say that the privilege that I have is because my family instilled good principles within me, and I will instill those same principles within my kids. As far as anything
So
that happens outside,
your right-ish leanings is what removes you from having some sort of push from mainstream media science, to get them to back you. Like you said, you're on the other side of the spectrum, right?
well, I
I'm
consider
trying to show
myself-
you something.
Sure.
Here. I'm trying to
Okay.
show you. I'm trying
All
to show
right.
you that how you think is more important than your people, or how you think is going to benefit you more than these arbitrary things like skin color and religion.
I couldn't agree more.
That is true. I mean,
the thing is that your religion could shape how you think, and that's what's
Yeah.
giving you power. Right?
Exactly.
exactly. But it's like the
So, but this
there's
actually
sort of like
this
rhizomatic
comes full
thing.
circle.
Yeah,
if,
yeah.
If you have a religion that says I'm the chosen people, that like puts XYZ values ahead, there's a reason why Christianity flourished, right? It
Yeah.
created
Yeah.
it created certain like rituals, it created certain beliefs that kept people away from one thing and pushed them towards another thing. Religions are it's operating system,
Sure.
right? So your operating system heavily impacts the way you interact with the world, right?
Sure,
So
you
In
could
terms
say,
of
like,
base
going
raw
all the way-
material, but I
like-
think there's more to it than that. But I guess
no, there is. I'm trying to be like
If I go all the way
Yeah.
back to, let's say, I don't know, like my great grandma who had this semi-abusive husband that she was forced to marry, back there, I'm sure that there are some things that pieces were put in place a long time ago that resulted in whatever educational system I had growing up. Be that as it may, though, my family is completely irreligious. We're not atheists. Like, I believe that, like I talked about in this.
So what
entire
makes
stream.
you Jewish?
Well, for the people who would go by the whole matrilineal thing, it would be that my mom is Jewish, matrilineally, again, going back to generation
But not
upon
following the
generation.
religion, or who
Yeah.
stopped following? So how?
I can't say. I guess my grandma. Sort
yeah,
of
it's tricky.
stopped,
Is it
and
an
my mom-
ethnicity or is it a religion?
Well, here's an example. Here's an example.
I'm not
After-
asking that facetiously. I'm confused.
no.
I'm really confused when it comes to that. Like, how do y'all
Yeah.
identify?
When it comes to the
I'd rather ask
diaspora
you.
secular,
I had an
yeah,
argument with my
here's
sister
how
about
I'll
this
here's how I'll say it. I think this is just my assumption. I think that because other people define a lot of people who are like genetically Jewish, they define them as Jewish. Then the definition's already done for us, where we can't really say like, oh, like I don't practice, so I'm technically not Jewish. If it doesn't matter for the other people who perceive you as being this particular way,
If
then
you have a son,
that's
would
what
he
you're
be
called.
Jewish?
No, if I marry,
If you
like
marry
a Japanese
another
girl or-
Jewish woman, would he be Jewish? Because I know y'all follow the mother's
yeah,
line, right?
if it's
So
if
if the mother is Jewish but not practicing Jewish, is your son gonna be Jewish?
he would be Jewish, technically speaking, for the people who would define being Jewish as such.
I'm asking Lev.
If you're asking Lev,
I'm
then
asking Lev.
then I'd say I don't care. Like I'm not going to.
But
force
you
that
identify as Jewish.
I identify Jewish again because other people have established that is what it means to be Jewish. For me,
Oh,
I couldn't,
God.
I couldn't care any less.
But do you identify as Jewish? Because you alluded to that before, that you do identify as Jewish.
I identify Jewish purely because other people identify me as Jewish. I wish
How would they know that if you didn't say it though?
That's a good point. I'll tell you why. Because right now I am in a part of the internet where a lot of these things that we keep talking about, it keeps being brought up. And I think it's important for me to address these things because I think a lot of people are.
What do you have, like a
confused about
wiki
the
page that
conclusions.
says your lineage or something like that?
One day,
you
I'm
would've-
gonna past life. Absolutely.
You would have had to come out your mouth and say, "Hey, look, this is what I am." Right?
Yeah.
Well, I
Okay.
think it's to like avoid complications because we have like a lot of right wing guests and
No, I think this is cool.
yeah, and Lev is honest about it because if you were to
Yeah.
lie about it and then someone would go on like fucking 4chan and be like,
I understand exactly what he's saying. I've had to
Yeah,
do this.
yeah.
Like I'm like,
And look,
yeah, my
and at
skin's
the same-
white, but my family is like it's
And
like
at the same time, I
people
also
talking shit. You have to speak up for your people.
and like I said in the beginning, when we're talking about like Italian families, or Jewish families, I like a lot of the Jewish family values, which again,
I
not
love them.
yes, not everybody. I'm not going to say that it's only the Jewish people or the Italian people, but generally speaking, these are values that I wish other people, like you were talking about before, Hotep Jesus,
Yeah.
that other people should adopt as far as
Yeah,
keeping
I'm trying
the
to have
family
my people
together.
running around with yarmulkes on. That seems like the way.
And
You
I
don't-
think-
if you don't want your
that-
religion, I'll take it.
No, but again, Hotep Jesus, this is something that I see as being a cultural thing that is passed on. So as far
Yeah.
as whether my son is going to be Jewish or not, like there are certain cultural things that I'm going to pass on to him. It has nothing to do with a menorah or spinning the dreidel around or anything like that. Keeping your family close, respecting, respecting.
Did
your
you have a
family,
bar
but-
mitzvah?
No.
Really?
Yeah. See,
You
this
a
is
fake
the
So you're not,
Jew,
yeah, you're not
man.
really Jewish.
You're not
then.
even a Jew. Then.
Did you have a kinder
What
shul
the fuck?
even?
No,
Dude,
I had nothing.
You've been
You
a
had nothing?
fake
Yeah,
Jew
you're-
this
then
whole
let me-
time.
That doesn't
Oh
count.
man, they
You're-
gypped
you've
you,
been a
I'm
bro.
not
fake Jew
even,
this whole time.
You got this shit. You
Are
got
you
this
even
short end of the
circumcised?
stick, man.
Are you even circumcised?
No.
Oh
You don't
man!
even count, bro. You don't
You're not a
count.
What's
See,
going
that's the
on
thing.
here,
It's
yo?
been a lot
Jesus,
of
this
Been
is
a
what
lot
I'm
of
trying to get everybody
too
to
complicated,
understand.
man.
I am not Jewish other than the perception
Yeah,
that
no.
people have of me being Jewish, which I knew from the very beginning people would have. So I'm
Quote
not gonna hide
apocalypse
it.
now.
Just
You
like
Torn
Amos
apart,
said.
ripped apart.
You don't
Torn
own a
apart.
six-sided star chain?
Nope. I don't even have a bag of Jew gold.
Yeah, you don't have that. Do you have the?
I've been
You
living a
have
lie
one
this
of
whole time.
like,
You have a yarmulke?
No.
No, yeah, Lev, you're not Jewish. I'm gonna be honest with you.
nah.
Yeah,
you're-
like what is
You don't
this?
even really have the nose.
Yeah, you're not even. You're just not.
yeah,
like
this is-
you bring it up for the
this-
podcast, but in reality, no, you're not.
This
That
kid
is
just be
very
lying
odd.
the whole time.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
that's and that's one thing I admired about the
It's part of
Jewish
their
faith
game.
was that I saw missing in the black community was this rites of passage into manhood.
Yeah.
Many
it's
religions and cultures have this rites of passage. In America, we have it for girls. It's called a sweet 16. For boys, it's like the first time you get handcuffs on you is a rites of passage.
Oh God! Oh my God!
You know, or the first time you get a BJ, you know, like that's not the right way to have an official rites of passage. And I know those are things that I admire about that culture is that they have that official ceremony where a boy crosses over. And I think these are things that we need to start implementing in the culture and saying, how come girls got it and boys don't? It seems like boys have been left out of the focus of what needs to be cultivated these days, man.
Exactly.
Oh, and the comment over
I
here
agree
by
with the record,
Shizo,
yeah.
and we do got to get to super chats quick, but over here, the comment by Shizo Rick, it's because you bring up the pogroms and your fear that'll happen again. That's what makes you Jewish, Lev. And I would say, no, and I would say that.
Yeah, but
number
Lev, you
one-
could if that happens again, you could easily pass as a white man.
He got
No,
a little
no,
ginger
no,
in
here-
there too. I see his beard
Yeah,
is a little
the-
red.
Wait. Hold on. Hotep Jesus, do you know how many Ashkenazi Jews are like redheads?
Yeah, a lot of them. Are.
Oh my God,
Tons.
really?
Redheads,
common, yeah.
blondes.
Oh, so what you're saying is your people got around.
Mm-hmm.
No. What I'm saying, no, Hotep
Are you
Jesus.
saying
There are
that
Arabs that
saying
have
they
red
were the
hair.
real Aryans the whole time? That's what he's
Mhm.
saying.
but that's kind of the thing. But that's
They're
kind
the
of
real
thing. Like,
Scythians.
if you go back in time, and if we're talking about like the origins and all that, I really don't see that much of a difference between like the OG Jewish people, the Hebrews. I know some people call it like Hazar, stuff like that, but I really don't see that much of a difference between them and Europeans. And that has
And
nothing.
another group.
Which other group?
The Agarthans.
Oh yeah, the Agarthans. Yes, the Atlanteans. Yes.
The modern day version of Persia.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they say that they're similar.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, none of these things matter to me. The important thing for
Well,
me
aren't
is what you bring
Sephards
to the
similar
table.
to Arabs or?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's because the
Yeah.
Sephardic
Well,
the
Don't get it
Sephardic
twisted.
Jews,
Arabs
they were.
and Persians are not the same. Don't say that in front
Yeah,
of the Persian
yeah.
guy.
Yeah, I never see
I know.
that.
He will
I know.
fuck you
Well,
up.
we're gonna be talking to Jason Giorgiani. We're gonna be talking to Giorgiani. That's gonna be
You
a
know
lot
what's
of fun.
funny? Apparently, the TikTok, the fucking white girl like woke TikTok witches are going after Allah.
That is the fun.
There you go. Just try it. Let's try
What's
it.
that meme with the boxer? Please, somebody find that boxer meme when it comes
Allah
to
got
that.
hands.
Yeah, Allah got hands.
Yeah, Allah
That's an
got
amazing
hands.
one.
Yes, he does.
All right, so but anyway, like I said before, whatever origins there are, or, we could talk about like those red-headed mummies that were. I'm not gonna get into that right now. Anyway, whatever origins there are for any people, what concerns me is not that, but it's what they bring to the table as far as whether they have what it takes to get to a higher level of civilization. That's what I care about for anybody, regardless of where they're from. That's my position.
Oh.
Yeah, just don't sacrifice people. That's basically my only criteria.
Well, you know what they say, mo lock, mo problems. Anyway, guys, let's get to super chat. I know Lisa's pissed because she sent various super chats that I did not.
Apparently, Lisa's a he. I was fucking fooled this whole time.
Oh no!
All it took was
every single time. The first rule of the internet. First rule.
All right, here we go.
Is she single?
Does no femoid watch BTR?
Lisa Boat, and everybody subscribe, by the way. Lisa Boat, €4.99. Brian, you think? Oh, I read
it's
this
a
one
pun.
already.
It's Lisa Boat. Like, go buy. Anyway, it's fine.
Oh, Lisa Boat!
I did not know that.
Jesus, guys.
Oh, I get it now. Lisa Boat.
Man. I've got egg in my face. I've got
man.
Gio fell in love.
Yeah, I know. I saw this Afghani girl in the chat. I'm like, ooh, they're similar to Meds, but no, man.
Holy fuck, we got $75 for Green. What is going on? This is amazing. Holy shit. Okay, anyway. Lisa Bode, $4.99. Well, I asked this already, but I'm going to say it anyway. Brian, you think history is truth-based? If not, how can you refer to historical facts? Saw the Joe Rogan clip about slavery in USA. Thank you for that. Lisa Bode, $1.99. Okay. Ooh, man, this is like one whole thing here. Brian, what's the effect of rap music on young black people?
Ooh.
Same effect that rock music had on white boys.
Oh god,
I have said this so many times, like Motley Crue
and painting their nails and shit like that. I mean, music's fucking music, man. Rap music ain't the problem. Rap music is fucking great. Rap music's great for like when this shit like hits the fan, you're gonna need rap music to put you in a trance to go hit that fucking battlefield. It's the music isn't the problem. The music is a symptom of the problem.
Well, one thing I just
want to
address with the music question, and I brought this up before with Hotep Sophia. We talked about Rudolf Steiner, how Rudolf Steiner was not a fan of jazz just because he said that a lot of like these like African spiritual music, when it was part of a religious ceremony, it had a particular purpose. But now if it's just all for fun, that ceremonial purpose is not there anymore, and he sees that as a negative. So that's like one pushback.
Yeah, I mean, or when, some segment of the black community saw R&B music as the devil's music, because they were taking like church vibes and turning them into, songs about sex and dating. And so this isn't a new phenomenon. There's always been dirty music.
Sure.
You've always, and I think dirty music's great. Like Two Live Crew were, some of the biggest pioneers of freedom of speech. And the fact that you can't hear some of this stuff on the radio because of the FCC being a socialist communist installation that is supposed to protect people, but instead inhibits people's ability to communicate. I just see rap music as being some sort of symptom, but it can definitely affect people. I won't say it can't, but that's not the problem. The problem starts at home. The problem starts with masculine energy leaving the home. It starts with, when people want to talk about, what happened to the white man in America, why he not revolting. It's like, well, you killed off that gene when you sent them to Vietnam.
Yeah, it's true.
You killed off that because
only a bunch of F-slur hippies were left.
And to Normandy and to Korea. And they did it several times.
I mean, think about it. There's
and
two
black
different
men
minds.
too, by the way.
Yeah. It's two different minds. You got some dudes like, yeah, sign me up, I'm ready to kill. Like that's truly like some alpha energy. And you got people like me, like I ain't going to fight that goddamn war. I ain't why you getting me shot. I don't even know what I'm fighting for, right?
Yeah, dying for who?
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
Wait,
You
Gio,
know?
what was the recent meme with like no Afghani ever called
No
me?
Afghani called me an incel.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no Afghani
Yeah,
ever
it's
called
true.
ever called me terrorist.
Yeah, but
What,
you know,
what
you
was?
got
Yeah,
you got just got some people who are just like ready to fight, and I think that that type of energy was depleted. I mean, you look at, you know, like they say, oh, Frenchmen are all short, right? And it goes back to the fact that they're recruiting all tall men during the wars of Napoleon, and so because they got their ass whooped, they basically only had short men left to procreate. Right? So you can create a society just simply by, you know, who you select for wars and who's dying in those wars.
yeah.
So when you look at the black community, a lot of people want to blame a whole lot of things for the black community. I say, man, World War II, you know, was one of the real biggest problems because in World War I, we weren't even allowed to fight. I thought that was really cool.
Well, they say
wait.
nowadays that the prison
Ah.
industrial
prison as well,
complex,
yeah.
it's funneling all the alpha males.
And that's
Like-
the other one.
Yeah.
Right?
But it's
But,
also
like,
that they have no
also-
guidance, so they're getting into prison. In the
Correct.
Yeah, but also they
Correct.
say that there's like an implicit, like, I know this is like crazy, but there's an implicit like almost feminization because there's all of the like the sexual politics in prison. Like they say that
Yeah.
in a way, like there's sort of a demoralization focusing on like the cheek busting and shit. Like
I
that.
saw a clip from Atlanta today, and they were laughing about a guy. He was banging a cross dresser, let's put it, and he didn't realize it, and everyone's like, "Ha ha ha, you're
A
gay,
crag,
right?"
you mean?
Yeah, and then
Yeah.
and then they all started laughing at him, and he's like, "You guys are in prison. Like,
Mm.
what do you do?" And he's like, "No, no, 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 no. That's prison. You were doing this on the outside. That's a completely different thing, right? Like, so it's not.
Wait,
the
Gio, what
same.
did Tony
It's
Soprano
not just
say
like
about that?
gay in that
Oh, you
way.
get a
It's
pass for that. Because Melfi's like, well, if some of your people went to jail, right? Oh, but there's no women in there. You get a pass for that.
Gay,
You know-
gay for the stay. That's what they call it.
You know what else destroys masculinity? And, you know, not to plug my book again, the Patriot Report, Unmasking Conspiracy of Money and War. You can get it on Amazon and HotepJesus.com. But the other thing that
Yeah, Lev, throw it
has
up. By the way.
destroyed,
Throw it up.
another
yeah.
thing that has destroyed manhood has been the banks.
Oh yeah, debt slavery.
When you
Okay.
have,
Yep.
when you
on
have
Money is gay.
a man who's done everything he thought he was doing right, and then an economic crash, a manipulated economic crash happened. He's no longer able to provide for his family, and now his wife is looking at him like a failure. The system has cucked that man, and the white man has gone through so many panics and depressions in America that he's been rinsed and recycled over and over again until he's just a shell of himself just from that. So you have those, I guess these are three pillars of destruction of masculinity. And I would think the first one would be depressions. The other one would be war. And the other one finally would be prisons. And then the secondary prison, obviously, is the educational system, which also cuts boys as well.
Yeah.
And by the way, we are going to have a debate later on, I think in the fall, late fall, with Gene Epstein, who is against the Federal Reserve, who does the Soho Forum. I don't know if...
what?
Yeah, I don't know if you're... Gene Epstein. Against the Federal Reserve, mind you.
He's like Epstein. Epstein. Don't go
Yes,
closer.
yes.
Yeah.
And he is going to be facing off against a friend of mine who worked for the New York Federal Reserve Bank, talking about the Federal Reserve. So that's going to be...
That's a great...
Friends with someone that worked for the
Give me that guy's address. It's a joke.
No, he's actually very surprisingly based, the Federal Reserve guy. But anyway.
Oh, of course they are.
They run it. They know what's going on.
See what you're doing. Come on.
Exactly
Why do you
what
think
they're
rich people? Why do they not have like? Why do they put their kids in Waldorf schools?
Yeah.
Think about it.
Oh, actually, it's funny that you mentioned it because a friend of his runs fair, and his kids were in the Waldorf school.
Oh,
I know
there you
quite a
go.
few people from Waldorf.
Yeah, and they did not like it.
Interesting
It's too.
characters.
Is it true it's like a cult though, or is that?
Well, it goes back to
It's
Rudolf
all like
Steiner.
a cult. It's all like a cult.
Actually, since we mentioned Rudolf Steiner again, because the Waldorf schools, that was
Yeah, 26 Super Boyle versus
created.
Paget. Yeah.
His writing is fascinating.
Yes. So
Oh, yeah.
one thing I just wanted to quickly get Rebus's take on is, regardless of, I really happen to like a lot of R&B and rap and all that, but do you think that there are, let's say, without a ceremonial purpose to a lot of music, thought forms that start arising. Like if we do take
Oh,
this idea
fuck
of
yes.
there
Okay.
being
Oh
this-
yeah.
Have any of you guys been to a metal concert?
Oh yeah.
You
Oh,
will,
yeah.
dude.
I'm a huge metalhead.
It doesn't matter what kind of person you are, right? You could be some fucking loser office guy.
Yeah,
You put him at
anybody get a
sh-
wig split.
You put him at a show and you throw
Mhm.
him in the middle of a pit. He's either gonna break or something's gonna wake up inside of him.
Yeah,
He's
I've
gonna
seen it
go-
happen.
It's
before
war
my
drums.
eyes.
Yeah,
It's
and he's
war
gonna
drums.
go nutty, and that's of course. And part of that is
That's that
fuel
white man
for-
that they
yeah.
trying to stamp out.
Yes, you gotta take that man away because that man exists, right? He's inside of all of them. And see, the beauty of things like metal is that, listen, I'm not the kind of person, even though I think war is fascinating, combat is fascinating, all of these things are interesting parts of the human experience. I don't relish them. I'm not a person that enjoys this kind of shit, right? So I don't want people to hurt each other. I think a good outlet is stuff like music, right? It gets it out in a way that doesn't hurt anybody. My dream would be some sort of combat simulation that allows people to kill one another without anybody getting hurt.
Oh, that's
would
common.
be-
That's video games, yeah. That's
Yeah,
common.
but I mean full on, right? So you
Like
get the
full
whole-
immersive.
yeah, you get-
That's
you
how
get-
tribes used to
you
fight
get
in
the-
Africa.
Yeah, you get the sadists
Yeah.
in.
That's why
all
we
of
got
that.
our
Everybody
ass
gets
kicked.
their fix, right? It's fine, right?
Mhm.
No harm, no foul. Then you go home and you're just chill. Nobody, you don't have any problems because hey, I just killed 70 people. It's all good, right? I don't need to worry about it. Right?
My
That
K
kind of
death
thing.
ratio
Yeah,
is
exactly.
No, did you see
So-
that tweet about the Neuralink memes that like the future is gonna? Anyway, it's similar concept where like once Neuralink becomes a little more of a thing, I don't particularly want to be part of it, but
That's
when it becomes more prominent, because it will, like memes about like people like passing like the latest shock experience or like experience torture for like whatever 10
Yeah.
months.
yeah.
Or,
I
like,
saw one that it was
experience-
like
yeah.
memes
you get
in
to
the
drink
future.
bleach for like
Kid
yeah.
who makes you look at a symbol for 2 seconds and you experience like 2,000 years of torture and pain. and
Yeah,
you come back. It's like,
exactly.
isn't that
Like,
funny?
that's-
Yeah.
Like these are things that are possible with that type of technology, right?
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
I wonder if there's
You know,
going
I
to
also
be
don't
an
wanna
animist.
get-
I also don't want to
Neuralink.
get paywalled out of my own thoughts,
Yeah.
so I'm not gonna
Yeah.
Yeah.
volunteer.
I wonder- no, there will be
I
that.
don't- I don't
There,
want
if you read
DLC in my mind.
Zero H.P. Lovecraft's recent short story, it's kind of like being paywalled from your own memories. Like, holy fuck!
Yeah, fuck that.
What
Oh,
if there's
shit,
like an animist Neuralink where like you go down the street and like everything's talking to you and everything
It's,
just
that's
like
called doing 6 grams of mushrooms.
Yeah, that's
It's
called
called-
Seriously, yeah.
hallucinogens.
But, okay,
Well,
but,
maybe
uh,
it's
what
like
I
that
would- what I
part
would
in
say- what I would
existence.
say
God is an
about the
artist.
music, about the music thing and all of that, right?
Yeah.
Is this? Yes, they for sure like that stuff. That doesn't mean necessarily that it's bad, but yeah, they like it. It would be like it's like moths to a flame. Of course, they're gonna come and show up, right? And yes, your level of suggestiveness is can be an issue. So that's why music was used in a ceremonial setting because so much purification is being done, right? You don't have to
Yeah.
worry about that stuff. If you ever watch hippie concerts and shit like that, listen, there's something to them burning sage all over the place, right? It's not a bad idea to do this thing. It attracts stuff, right? But I don't necessarily think that the channeling those emotions and those feelings in that way is a bad idea because yeah, that what Hotep Jesus is talking about, that white man they're trying to suppress, if that thing exists in everybody and that thing is really dangerous, it's true, but it doesn't need to be destroyed. It just needs to be tempered and mastered rather than turned into some sort of like broken thing. Like that's not useful for anybody except for people who are trying to subjugate and destroy you. So that's my advice here is I think that kind of situation is it's not bad to hold these things. It's bad to not have them in control.
Absolutely. There is, I think, a spiritual middle ground of various entities. Like I know, Remus, you call everything jinn. I think that would be an appropriate name. But there are some jinn that
I don't
let's say,
do
would
that.
be
Islam
more...
does that. It's
Okay,
just, and it's
Islam does
also
it.
it's
Okay.
also easy. It's easy to
Sure.
do.
Yeah. But basically, you would have entities that would just want to play around that are not necessarily bad. But anyway, okay, Larry Elder. Josh Murphy, thank you. I completely forgot. So, hashtag protect Larry Elder.
Yeah, he's running
Brian,
for governor or whatever.
Yeah,
right?
governor of
Did
California.
he actually
with
win or are they
the,
going to steal it from him?
I don't know about protect Larry Elder.
No?
He's just gonna get clapped.
I mean, I
Instantaneously.
think the correct hashtag is vote Larry Elder.
Yeah.
Maybe.
No, well, you said protect Larry
them,
Elder on the podcast. That was your, maybe it was Uncle Hotep. I'm not sure.
I disagree with myself if I did say that. That's
because of the sexual assault allegations and all that's coming up right now.
No, because I don't never trust any of these motherfuckers, man. Any of these like when you're too good at politics, I'm like, ugh.
It means you're a liar.
That's true.
It's like
it means you're a liar.
You're really good at lying. Yeah.
It's like it's like he's saying these things now. When he gets in office, is he gonna do them? And then it's like, all right, if he does them, what other draconian things is he gonna do that we're not aware of, right? Like I still feel like
how easy is it to get to these people, man?
I know. I just
I
can't make
Larry Elder's on a fucking bunker somewhere, yo.
Yeah, I don't give. Again, like when you invest yourself so much in the state, you get the state power. So it's like, no, don't protect. Vote Larry Elder. Good, done. Let's move on. It's like. We not protecting these motherfuckers though. He can afford private security. He can protect
let them
That's
worry
like
about
me
that.
here in Canada. So I'm gonna vote for Maxime Bernier come September. Because A, my conscience will be clean. B, the fucking conservatives.
Vote for Ted Kaczynski.
Don't you have like a permanent like a permanent leader? Like it's term. There's no term limits, right? He can just go.
No.
Oh, there's term. Wait, there's no term limits.
There's no term limits in Canada.
No, there's no term limits in Canada.
Yeah, Justin Trudeau is your Putin. He's gonna be in charge for the rest of your life.
Unfortunately, yes, because
he
got away with
women.
He got away with
women.
Listen, he got away with blackface publicly, and
you
his
gotta
mom
let me say this. You gotta let me say this because this Canadian.
Castro's son.
He's your Poutine.
Poutine.
Oh, there we go. He was waiting for that. Everybody subscribe.
Look,
Patreon.com. Patreon.com/break the rules. Go.
His dad is Fidel Castro, and he got away with blackface. He will literally have him for the rest of your life. It's over. If he's not canceled now, if it's not.
Justin Trudeau is the first Antichrist, being led by the second one. The second one, who knows?
Kamala Harris.
I don't know why people think it's so controversial when I say that Kamala looks somewhat decent when she was younger.
Wow.
I don't know.
I mean, she was when she was dating.
You know why we were saying that, Gio? Because we've all seen that picture of her where she
was dating Montel Williams.
She was dating Montel Williams. What? You look. Yeah, they used to date.
Wow.
Before her current husband.
Lev, pull it up. Young Kamala Harris.
Before her political husband, she was dating.
Wait, was she a baddie
Williams.
when she was young?
She was pretty much a proto baddie, yeah.
Proto baddie.
She's still a baddie.
Let's go.
Come on, Remus, if she gave you ultimate power.
If she gave me ultimate power?
You would do it in a heartbeat.
I'd do it.
I'd do it.
I'd say here's the young Kamala Harris with
She's not that bad looking.
She's pretty. She's pretty.
She's pretty good.
I don't like the 90s or 80s haircut. That is.
Yeah, I don't like the haircut. But I like
the
it reminds me of a kid and play.
Remember when Rihanna had that set up?
Yeah, but that worked on Rihanna.
It worked on Rihanna. That did, yeah.
But for the long hair as well.
I was probably hot back in the day, though.
Oh, yeah.
And by the way, speaking of back in the day, the other reason why I brought up Larry Elder is because you remember what happened with Clarence Thomas. So, yeah, Clarence Thomas is there.
Did he transition to Clarice Thomas? Is that what you're saying, Lev?
No, actually,
Clarence.
One of the people who was persecuting him, I believe, in that whole
was who your president. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Yes, indeed.
Corn Pop was really Clarence. Oh, should I even say that on stream? Corn Pop was Clarence.
Do not research.
Anyway, next
I'm Canadian, so I could say it.
Yeah, you're allowed.
Next super chat again from Lisa Boat, $4.99. BLM protest riots while everybody wearing child slavery clothing, having phones, cars, food, and other is the emotion of black people in USA, not misdirect. And I don't know if...
all right, so let me clear that up.
Okay.
That's not black people, first of all. That's white liberal money. Okay? You're talking about a very small segment of the black community. A lot of the thing that people say, oh, black people don't care about black on black crime. No, there are literally marches every weekend in Chicago, Detroit, and other cities. Stop the violence.
Yep.
There's a whole bunch of different nonprofit organizations fighting and stuff. You know what the problem is? The white liberal don't show up with his camera at that shit. That's what the problem is. The black people you see, the black people that you see out there marching and protesting are in social media clout chasers, first and foremost. Trust fund babies, trying to find their blackness, trying to overcompensate for their blackness, and a bunch of white liberals virtue signaling. That's not the black community. Black community is like at home watching football or some shit or playing PlayStation. We not trying to do all that shit. And a lot of that is also female energy too. Female and rainbow energy.
Yeah.
And next we have here Cream Wizard 199. I found the lack of boobas today disturbing. Well, you're not going to be in luck because this Thursday we are going to have Uber Boyo and Jonathan Peugeot. So no boobas there.
The Taliban has taken power,
Talking about-
and there are no women allowed on the stream anymore.
Yeah, no women allowed on the stream anymore. No, I am going to post some shorts, though. I've been posting every day.
Let's
that
see
we
a
do not
stream.
have a stream.
Stream with a Jungian and an Orthodox carver talking about Nietzsche. Yeah, I'm pretty sure no woman will watch that stream.
That's cool.
You know who's gonna watch the stream on Thursday? Autistic men. That's
Me.
it. Me. Yeah.
I will watch it.
And then, by the way, if
I'm sure
you're
a few of
not-
them will force their girlfriends to watch it with them.
you're not-
uncomfortably.
if you're
Watch
not,
it.
Remus is gonna force his wife to watch it
I will not.
uncomfortably.
I will not. She's cool. She can chill.
And by the way,
Yeah.
if you're not all the ladies,
What am
out
I
there,
talking
if
about?
you-
Moss is more autistic than you.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
she is.
for all the ladies, if that does not make you wet enough, we are gonna have we are gonna have
Every pussy dry in the fucking. Holy shit! Oh
Right.
fuck! I love how Lev set that up, ladies. If that doesn't get you wet, here's a picture of Georgia.
Here's a picture of Jason Burkhardt. Poor man. You know,
Poor guy.
he is dashing.
Oh
in
man.
that,
no, he's
in
got
that
a
suit.
beautiful
God.
he's got a beautiful wife. It's not about him. It's about the subject matter.
Is there pictures of his wife?
Yes, he has a
Yeah.
beautiful Iranian wife, and
Wow.
yeah, no,
There you
but-
go.
Okay, now I get it. Now I get it. I
Yeah,
get the Giorgiani thing now.
No,
Everything
it's
makes
purely-
I
sense.
get it now.
It's purely
Everything
about the
makes sense.
subject. No, here, this is his Facebook profile picture. You know, this is all public
Jesus.
and everything. I'm not doxing. Here it is. So
Wow.
there we go.
Okay, well,
So
There you go.
it's
now I know
pure-
why he loves the Persian.
There we go.
Well, he is also Persian himself.
Excuse
Mhm.
me.
All right, and let's see. Okay, final super chats here. Okay, Ricky Green, I don't know who you are. Just God bless you. You send us $75.
God bless you, my friend.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
And again, any
What was the
pyro-
message?
No message. No
Wow.
message.
Oh wow.
God, he just
Unbelievable.
threw money at you and walked
Yeah, just
away.
threw money at us for having
Take
an
this
amazing,
shit. you fucking
amazing
dirty
stream
whore.
with Brian.
Part
and,
of some money laundering thing. No, I'm kidding.
well, look, guys, if you want
What
to,
was the name? What was the name again?
Ricky Green.
Yeah, that's money laundering, 100%.
Yeah, Ricky Green,
yeah.
if you want to launder more of your money, patreon.com/breaktherules. That is exactly how it's spelled. No number 3, just patreon.com/breaktherules. Become a patron today, and you are going to get a lot of great things. You see this moth over here? In fact, Hotep Jesus, check this moth out over here. So my
How is
father...
that?
My father created this moth magnet in honor of Brittany Venti coming on the stream. See over here. You
Oh yeah,
have
because
the,
she's a moth girl.
Yeah, you have the magnetic side over here.
Shout out Venti.
So- Shout out to Brittany Venti.
Brittany
So
Venti.
my father is an amazing artist, craftsman. He creates all these beautiful things, and
That's dope.
he is going to make a magnet for you. $20 gets you a random magnet, or if you're a fan of Brittany Venti, let us know and we'll send you the moth magnet. And we're going to be doing themed magnets as well. So like certain guests, like we're going to have a Styx magnet coming up as well for all
Oh,
the fans
God.
of Styx Hex and Hammer 666. And Styx already approved it. And again, like Brian, if you want us to ever make like a Hotep Jesus magnet or anything like that could definitely
With a
be
symbol, yeah.
arranged. Yeah,
That's
exactly.
wonderful. That's wonderful. I love that.
Thank you. And in fact, you could check out my father's website. I'm gonna have to make a website for him to be able to directly sell his works. But
Okay.
it's you can go to alpstudio.com, and he is one of the greatest artists in the world, I think. Check out this Nutcracker Knight that he created. Hold on, I'm just loading it up here. I'm gonna post it in the chat. Everybody subscribe while I'm doing it. Here it is. This is the Nutcracker. Check this out.
Wait, that's
dope.
physical?
Yeah.
Oh, is that
physical.
where your Oh wow, that's where your profile pic comes from.
Yeah, exactly. That is the background,
background.
that I've had this entire time. So my father creates works like this. He creates beautiful dragons. Here is a beautiful black dragon that I'm posting right now. All of this is made out of high quality wood. Here we go. This is the black dragon right over here. You can see it. And he also does beautiful paintings as well. And what I want to do is, like I said before, thank you. I want to make a store for my father to be able to sell a lot of these works. He really enjoys making them. And here's one final thing I want to share for my father. This is the wolf. This is the wolf picture right below here. So again, if we're talking about like me having values that I'm going to pass on to my kids, regardless of whether you'd say they're Jewish values or whatever, my father's not Jewish, he's a Russian, Ukrainian, whatever. But the point is that the values that I want to pass on is, number one, creativity, learning how to draw, learning how to create. I think that's a very important skill. And also, like, I want to honor my father as much as possible in bringing his work out, because he is a bad self-promoter. He does not self-promote. So I want to promote as much of his work as possible. And also, you can go to superrare.com. Let's see if I could load that up here. Man, I should
get that NFT. Yeah.
Yes.
Show the NFTs. Let's go.
Yes, exactly. So superrare.com.
Put them on Foundation too.
/Alex Polyakov. Let's see, this should be the right link over here. Yes, it is. Alexander Polyakov. So this link over here, superrare.com /Alex-Polyakov. If you go there, check out some of the work that he has there with his paintings of all these little animals that he does. It's done in Photoshop, I believe, or like in Manga Studio or whatever. Hold on, I've got to post the right thing. Everybody subscribe, patreon.com, while I'm loading these things. Anyway, it's not responding right now.
$30 tier.
Yes. Yeah, $30 tier gives you a beautiful print from Giovanni Pennacchietti. I'm going to display it right over here right now. Here we go, Patreon print. Watch him go. This is Gio's master work, very beautiful, from the TFW No GF series.
Well, we can't see it, but you can.
Yeah, but you can see it. Trust me, it is a beautiful, beautiful work of art. And you are going to... Oh, and $5 patrons are going to get... MP3s of the episodes. They're going to get secret streams for patrons only. They're going to get Discord benefits. And let's see if I could paste this guy over here. $50 patrons get all of the above. Plus, they're also going to get a custom magnet. So whatever design you want, my father is going to make that magnet. On top of that, you're going to get another beautiful work from Gio, a painting of the Bob Ross style. You are going to get a beautiful figure from Jules Hamilton from the Warhammer 40K series. Very beautiful designed series. We had a whole...
And a printout of any of the banner images for each episode.
That my father created.
Whichever one you want.
And over here, one final thing I want to show you. This is one of my father's NFTs over here. Look at this. Look how adorable this is. See, you get these little...
How much that one go for?
Let's see. I think it's under auction right now. No, it says list price 1.494 Ether, which translates to, let's see how much. Let's see. I'm looking at the conversion.
Something.
It's probably a lot, but let me see.
It's 5K.
5K. Thank you. Yes, yeah. It's 5K.
It's so like there we go. 3,100, something like that right now.
Yes. So
right, Ethereum's like 3,100 right now. Mm-hmm. Is it that high right now?
Yeah. It's been everything's coming back. Shit. Everything's pumping right now because the NFTs are getting a lot of traction. Let me go check my
portfolio. Yeah. I might be rich.
I thought NFTs were dead.
Oh no, they're not dead. No. Oh no, I've been up all night.
Booba Hub.
Yeah. By the way,
shout out Booba Hub. Let's go.
I'm gonna promote the hell out of myself too. Why not? Go to levcards.com. You're going to see my NFTs there. Buy my NFTs as well. I'm working on this really, really big one right now, Muscles. That's gonna be out really soon. We've talked about this before. I do it on the art stream, which is coming back. I've been very busy doing the shorts, doing the stream, scheduling people all the way till fucking November. But go to youtube.com/Lev Polyakov. Check out my animations, check out the streams there, and also, again, check out my artwork. I'm going to be posting a hell of a lot of artwork coming up. I've just been really, really busy, but it's all going to burst out in one go because the artwork that I'm doing right now, it has all these little elements in it, which are their own NFTs. So it's like I'm creating like a master NFT, which has all like the little NFTs inside of it. So that's the way it goes. Anyway, I want to make sure that, are there any more super chats here? Okay, Cream Wizard, $1.99. Show fatherless children break the rules. I'm not sure exactly what you mean by show fatherless children. I don't know. Cream Wizard.
Maybe have a stream with fatherless children.
Show crime.
Yeah, it's
show crime.
All right, and finally,
FBI crime statistics.
And finally,
What's
Lisa
happening?
Bode. This is the last super chat of the day. Brian, are you going to held Ashantis responsible? You tell me.
I don't know.
I don't know what's.
Oh yeah, he's talking about the Ashanti tribe selling black people into slavery or something like that. Am I going to hold them responsible? I mean, it's such a small segment of society. It's a small segment of slavery. Slavery was actually mostly brutal in the West Indies, man, and South America. When you go start reading up on Bartolome de las Casas and how they treated the indigenous population there, the Ashanti tribe becomes a distraction. And Bartolome de las Casas actually repented because, this is a religious individual. He repented. He's like, yo, like in hindsight, damn, we were bugging. We were doing some atrocious
brutalizing
acts.
people.
Yeah, brutalizing people. Yeah. So the Ashanti tribe were committing an act of commerce, whereas other groups are committing crimes against humanity. So I can't really.
Slavery is an institution. It's like it's you can't blame one people for all of slavery, and you also can't compare all forms of slavery. So they're the same thing.
The thing is about slavery is it's one of these terms that has these bastardized meanings, right? Like when we think about slavery, it's like which slavery? Do you talking about Arab slavery, where they castrated people? You talking about African slavery where they threw parties when it was time for you to be free? Are you talking about Caribbean slavery where Lev's people was chopping your foot off? Are you talking about
speaking of slavery, speaking of Egyptian slavery where my people may have been, here
for sure that's unreal.
All right,
according to the Bible.
According to the Bible, here is an NFT of mine called Pure Reminder. You can get this at superrare.com/Lev Polyakov. Let's see. I think it's under auction. Okay. So yeah, there we go.
This image haunts me a little bit.
I'm trying to grow my collection. I might get that.
Hell yeah.
Right.
But yeah, for example, like a lot of people want to attribute I think it was Great Britain for destroying slavery across the world. And it was like they try to make it seem like they did it out of the goodness of their own heart. I was like, nah, you weren't doing that out of your own heart. You're trying to destroy somebody else's economic system.
What about the Arabian slave trade? I'm not as familiar what exactly.
God,
like
terrible.
I said,
it was extensive.
Way more brutal.
Horrific.
They were castrating individuals. They would come in, their army would defeat an African army, then they turn those Africans into a slave army and then march them into other places. But those people became eunuchs and castrated and so on and so forth. It was, that's why I say, to black people, like your white man is at least your worries. When you start looking at history, you start seeing some other people have treated you even more brutal. I see how the Asians treat some of the people in Africa, and I'm like, I'll take the white man any day. I don't know. The whole slavery conversation is just way too nuanced. Also, slavery was never abolished.
At least the white man asked.
Yeah, they still have slavery.
I mean, I'm a slave. We're all slaves.
Right now.
I mean, to a certain point, to a certain extent, try to lead a country. Try to leave.
Yeah.
True.
Try to get on an airplane and leave, or try to get on a boat and leave. And I'm like, yo, where you think you're going, dog?
Who are you?
or try to make some money and not give them some.
Yeah.
Where you think you going, dog? So slavery just became modernized. It became comfortable.
You could be a castaway
nuanced
guy floating in the middle of the fucking ocean, and a police boat's gonna show and be like, "Hey, yo, you got your wallet? Who are you?" And they'll just
we have
a
new subscriber here to BTR. I just wanted to say his name, Juan Carlos Lizardo.
Oh wow.
Powerful.
That is a powerful name. It reminds me of the conversation we had about the lizard people before that. So thank you so much, Lizard. Yeah.
He has a name like the brutal slavers of South America. Very powerful.
All right, guys, this is the end of the stream. Thank you guys so much for watching. Be sure, well, hold on, plugs for everybody who was here. So number 1, Calth Respecter. Oh, Calth.
No, that's the old one.
Calth Lives on Twitter.
They keep killing me,
Lives.
but I
That's
live.
Remus. You're always gonna live.
Yeah.
Remus. Follow Remus on Twitter. Very wise man. Very young.
The handle is,
wise man.
you know,
yes.
R.I.P. to the man, Bap. But
Exactly.
you know, yeah, you can find me
By
at
the way,
Rip Bap.
Yeah.
By the way, Brian, do you like a Warhammer 40K?
What the hell is that?
Yeah, that's the answer.
Yeah, fair enough.
That's
It's
the
like
answer.
a
Yeah,
tabletop game with
Yeah,
models.
it's like D&D. It's similar to D&D.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, it's like D&D. I
Yeah,
used to love
but
those
it's like
games, man.
like wargaming. Imagine
I'm down.
It's like war strategy.
When do we play?
Yeah, war strategy, all of that. Oh yeah, you need quite a bit of money for that to start. Yeah, it's,
You have to make all the models and stuff, right?
yeah, those
You have to-
goddamn
yeah,
British.
it's
They got a
expensive,
monopoly on the model. They get so angry at people 3D printing everything. They're
Oh yeah,
pretty
smart.
brutal
Of
about
course, it's 3D printed. Yeah. That's
it.
the
Yeah,
move.
you if you don't, you're that's a lot of money. But yeah, it's fun. It's a fun time. Shoot each other. On
Next, we
weekend.
got a twitter.com/verse.laloon at verse-laloon.
Underscore, not dash.
Oh, underscore. I keep forgetting it's
Yeah.
not called a dash. But anyway, verse_laloon. Please become a patron to his version
Yes,
for
which is
Excellent
actually coming.
podcast.
It is coming back. I just keep going on other people's podcasts, so I get
Excellent
Oh, man.
podcast.
Yes.
One of the few people to ever get Maya on to talk.
I don't know if that
Yeah.
was an accomplishment or not.
That was powerful.
Yeah, it ended up killing Maya, but yeah, I did get Maya. Maya still lives, but under names I can't say.
Yeah,
Mm.
Oh my god.
it doesn't die. It doesn't. None of you ever understood.
Man, oh man.
The
the
Hydra
Chevys.
Yeah.
All right, so next we have, of course, the great and powerful Giant Geo.
Twitter.com, Giant Productions on YouTube. I just came out with a video fucking nailing that fucking bread tuber on Academia. What's his name? Adam something. Just fucking vivisected him. That's a good, yes, that's my recent video.
Put
I
bricks around his ankles and threw him in the rip.
Yeah, I hobbled him like in Misery. So
Keeping him
Giant
in your bed.
Productions. Yeah. Oh my god. Yeah. Other than that, Twitter, Instagram. I never plug my Instagram. Just it's my name, Gio Pennacchietti.
And of course, follow, follow me on Twitter, twitter.com/LevPo. I write a lot about the various weird dreams that I have every single night. And also follow Daniel on Twitter here. Let me get his Twitter up here. Daniel, IDFRESNE. Daniel Idfresne. Wonderful guest. I want to give a big thank you for Daniel for joining us today. He couldn't stay the whole while, but I definitely appreciate it.
He flashbanged the room and then just peaced. It was excellent.
Absolutely.
He was just like cockholding. He leaves.
Could have went more into that.
That was interesting. That's an interesting topic.
Yo, I gotta drop out. Yo, thank you for having me, fellas.
Brian, thank you so much for coming in. Everybody follow
Hotep Jesus.
Brian on Twitter, Hotep Jesus.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for being here, man. I would love for you to come back anytime.
Yeah, let me know, bro.
Hell yeah.
Thank you.
Bless.
There we go. So, guys, once again, don't forget to subscribe. Keep subscribing. We are going to have a hell of a week coming up for you. So, we are going to have Uber Boyo, Jonathan Peugeot, talking about Nietzsche and Christianity and all that good stuff. That is
Apparently
coming up.
Nietzsche is apparently the left are Nietzscheans now, and Nietzsche is cringe according to Logo. So that's what's his argument he's making recently? I
It
don't
doesn't matter.
know.
You just put him in a headlock.
Have you
It's
seen
irrelevant.
these?
Yeah, put him in the locker. That's it.
Yeah.
Have you
I
seen
don't
these
care.
verse?
No, I'm not looking at it. Stuff him in the locker. I actually
Yeah.
have to get food. So wait, are we?
Apparently,
are we
Zero HP Lovecraft is being
Yeah,
paid
we're-
off by Peter Thiel. So that's
Oh yeah, that's the
Yes.
joke. today.
Yeah, we're pretty much done. I just want to plug Jason.
Please, Peter Thiel, please, if you're listening, give BTR money.
Give all of
Yes.
us money. Yes.
All right, and
I'll post Chad memes.
Okay,
on
Jason
Twitter
Giorgiani, that is coming up. That is coming up next Tuesday. Then I believe we are going to have a stream about Afghanistan, the Afghanistan stream. That is coming up Thursday.
Jesus Christ.
Jeez.
Thursday, September 2. I mean, who knows? Maybe we can try to get one of
Allahu
the Taliban people on. I don't know. I've been hearing
Allahu Akbar.
Inshallah, my
Inshallah,
brothers.
inshallah.
And then, real quick, okay, then we are going to have Tuesday, September 7th, Paul Rossi, who was the teacher that was fired for opposing CRT in a prestigious New York City school.
Damn, it's almost September.
Together, back to school special. BTR back to school special with Paul Rossi and Styx Hexenhammer 666.
Cause back to school.
7 a.m. We are going to have
Okay, my food's getting cold. I have to leave.
All right.
Go Verse.
Oh, see you, Verse.
Peace,
Thank you
brother.
so much for coming in. Then we are going to have Thursday, September 9, Adam Krigler coming in to BTR. For those who don't know him, he was working with Tim Pool beforehand. He has his own stream now, a very, very awesome stream. We are going to have, Tuesday, September 14th. That's kind of up in the air right now. It'll be one of two things. I'm not going to say what yet. Then we are going to have some of the confirmations here. Chad Haig, Thursday, September 21.
Based. We're also going to have Painted Worlds on that one. He's a huge
Hell yeah.
fan.
Then we're going to have Thursday, September 23, Ariel Pink coming in.
Wow.
Wait, the actual Ariel Pink?
The area, yes.
Okay.
One in the pink.
I'm in that.
We're doing it.
Ariel Pink. Huh.
Nice.
And then we're going to
Childish
have
Gambino.
and then we're going to have Mary Harrington coming in Thursday, September 30th.
Oh yeah.
Joined by
Who's
default friend. Joined by default friend.
Oh, I got to get my friend Alicia on that
I know
stream.
default friend. She's nice.
Excellent. All right, so more to come.
Get the Taliban spokesman from Twitter. We will get the Taliban.
Yeah, that guy
spokesman.
seems like he would be fun to have on.
Yeah.
Yes. Alexander.
He's like, no, it's normal. Everything's fine. Everything's fine. Everything's cool.
Geo
here."
joins next episode. Geo joins the Taliban.
We should get him to put a GoPro on and just walk around while he talks. That would be excellent.
Oh, Rosa has a BF. Ah, damn it, cucked again.
Oh no.
Yep.
See, I can't form a parasocial relationship with a female that watches our stream.
Geo, be thankful that Rosa is a female at least, okay?
Yeah, that's true. That's
all
true.
right, guys. Listen.
Wait, saying that they have a BF doesn't mean that they're a female. Just.
Oh, that is very true. Actually, that is very true.
Yeah.
Okay, well.
Reintroduce that idea.
I'm
sorry.
No
Anyway,
women on the internet.
Okay.
Yeah,
Once again, for all the fence sitters out there, patreon.com/breaktherules. Go there right now. Become a part of this thing. We are growing ever faster. We are almost at 6K. Guys, we are so close now.
Our goal is 10K by Christmas.
Yes,
that's our goal.
Listen, guys.
Just for the record.
Yes.
Oh man, I shouldn't say this because I'd be talking shit, but if you subscribe to our Patreon, it's totally secure. Unlike that other stream where all of the guys' pay pigs got doxxed recently, you can trust BTR. Unlike our competition, to not get doxxed.
Geo, they're not our competition. We do.
I know.
We do our own thing. We are above any of that stuff because we are forging. BTR is forging.
Man, I wish I had
path
two
right
illegitimate kids and kidney failure.
Jesus Christ! I said this to Geo yesterday, and this goes out to all of you. This is a lesson for all of you.
Yeah.
Never compare yourself to sewage. Okay, it is not a good. If you're fighting sewage,
true.
you've already made several incorrect.
You're in the slime.
Yeah, you already made several wrong.
You're in the thought slime.
Exactly. Get out of the slime. Compare yourself to, you know what? Compare yourself to somebody who's of value. Okay.
Yeah, that's true.
Go that way.
That's true.
Yes.
If you want to be very holy, compare yourself to Christ.
Compare yourself to Hotep Jesus.
Exactly.
To Hotep Jesus.
Exactly.
All right. Guys, breaktherules.tv for all the audio listeners. That's how you get to our YouTube. We have a link tree. We have all the stuff. We are on all the major platforms. We are on Spotify. We are on Apple. We are on DLive. We are on
Twitch.
In fact, we've been streaming to Twitch this whole entire time.
I can't believe it.
How do we get away with it? How do we keep getting away with it?
It's seriously, we are.
I can't believe we didn't get clapped yet.
Yeah, we are the same. I can't believe that this.
And we had Noah Hugbox on. I can't believe we didn't get clapped. Holy shit!
Insane.
He's personally hated by the Twitch mod team.
Oh,
yeah,
no.
well,
Yeah.
Well,
They can suck my cock.
Yeah.
should-
Oh, that'll get us banned on Twitch.
all
Really?
right.
You know what'll get us banned on Twitch? Alinity sucks. Alinity is a cam titty streamer.
Well,
That'll get us banned on Twitch.
Is that
All right.
She's great. We love
She's
Alinity. We love
One way or
Alinity on the
another.
stream.
We'll have
Sorry.
we'll have Pokimane on the stream.
Isn't she the one who had the dog sniffing her?
Yes.
That's
Yes.
why.
Because white
How
girls.
does that happen?
I don't like they
Also,
say.
all those streamers
I don't
living in a
know.
house together, that seems so weird.
That seems fucked up,
My
yeah.
my issue, and this is like I am alleging so much here. None of this. Do
Alleged.
not take any of this. Yeah. Do not take any of this.
Source,
to be the
I
fact.
made it up.
Okay.
Source, I made it.
Source,
Source crack pipe. That's
Source, trust me, bro. Pokimane, she is a well-known streamer. Her family is from Morocco. I know she was in Canada as well. But
There's a lot of Moroccans here, actually.
yeah, but I wonder though, like if her family is high up, her streaming with Elon Omar makes me think like there's some connection.
Wait, she
with,
streamed with Emar. Oh fuck, really?
yeah, and AOC. If you
What could
remember
they
the stream-
possibly have to?
Well,
I thought Pokimane didn't get
No,
him.
no, no, no,
Okay,
Here,
I can-
here.
let me-
I'm getting to it.
Okay,
So,
okay.
Lev's
okay.
giving the schizo answer, and I'll give you the
Okay, yes.
most
Yeah.
likely answer,
Yes,
considering
this,
the culture. of
okay,
video
yes,
games.
the schizo answer is that according to our friend David Reboy, wonderful stream by the way. If you did not check it out,
Yeah, he's got to
please
come
do.
back again.
Absolutely, I would love for him to come back.
I say schizo answer with love, by the way. I don't
Yes,
mean- it's a
he's
derogatory.
yes, he's he wrote a book talking about the influence of the state of Qatar, and from what
Oh,
I
yeah,
understand,
they're Al
there's-
Jazeera.
Oh, there you go.
yeah, there is a connection between Qatar and
And Pokimane.
Don't they fund
hold
Al
on, hold on.
Jazeera?
Yeah, they do fund Al Jazeera.
Oh,
but
shit.
But before I get to Pokimane, I think that there is at least
Al Jazeera
from
Pokimane.
like the SJW Muslim angle, Al Jazeera or rather Qatar and
The
AJ
Hijabi
Plus
angle.
and all that.
Yeah.
Like they have
Hassan.
the territory of the Muslim
Yeah,
SJW.
yeah, son.
Yeah,
Hassan.
Hassan.
Yeah,
Yes,
Hassan
but the
Piker.
interesting thing is that I
Hassan,
looked-
if you're Armenian, I'm not going to finish the rest of the joke.
well, the interesting thing is that I looked
Armenian, Armenian. What would be a good pun?
Yeah.
At, okay, here's what
If you're
I'm
Armenian
Armenian,
out.
too fucking bad. Like, goddamn.
Here's what I'm getting to. What
Armenian
I'm getting to
grave
is,
digger.
and this is totally a shizo take, but what I'm getting to is that the Moroccan government, the country that gives the most, I think one of the most amounts of money to the Moroccan government is the country that I just mentioned before. It's hold on, what the fuck is wrong with
Qatar.
my head? Qatar, thank you. It's Qatar.
See, they
I thought
have-
Morocco was
they're-
based.
they attack right now. They're employing the power of their gin
Their
Yeah.
gin-
to
their
take
gin
the
tech.
name even
that's-
from your
So
mind.
that
is
so that
insane.
makes me think like, is there a connection between Pokimane, appearing on the stream
We are
with Elon
delving
Omar
too
and
deep
some?
here, Lev. I don't
What
know
were they
if
talking
we
about
should
on
talk
that
about
stream?
this on stream.
No, it wasn't. It was a stream of that.
they were playing Among Us.
Among Us.
That's I'll give the
Oh,
normal.
they weren't
the normal
talking
take.
about like how
no. Well, they do
the
that
Green
after.
New Deal is
Wait,
going
wait,
to
wait,
punish
wait.
rednecks.
This is how it works, okay? Because they realize politics is stupid. They realize that like the vast majority of
Of
users
Zoomers
watching,
are retards.
they're watching
yeah.
Twitch, right?
Mhm.
It's not that they're retards. They're just like pieces. They're like imagine the unfiltered garbage of 4chan, but in a
Yeah.
chat. That's what Twitch chat is like. It's hilarious. They're actually
Mm.
incredibly based. They're very funny. But like that, they realize they're trying to tap into that like Zoomer retardedness, right?
Yeah,
And they're doing it through video
Lumpen
games,
Proles.
right? Yeah, they're doing it through video games because AOC is also like millennially adjacent. And she's a
yeah,
young
she's
person.
just on the
So-
cusp of
so
millennial.
she's like, oh yeah, I love video games.
It's
I'm
kinda like
playing
Anita
Among
back
Us
in the
with
day,
my
like, she didn't know
friends. Yeah,
anything.
it's literally Anita Sarkeesian, right? Where it's
Yeah.
like, I love the video games. And like, listen, I'm not gonna say that fucking AOC can't like video games. She can like video games all she wants. But
Yeah.
bitch, you're on Twitter or you're on Twitch because you think it's gonna be good for you and your
politically.
yeah, exactly.
So when
And-
the little,
meanwhile-
the little guys that have their
Yeah.
like cock
So
in their hands
they
when they
go-
see you,
so-
when they are old enough to vote, they'll vote for you.
But she's not like they're not stupid. They're gonna go for the most popular streamers, right?
Yeah,
You can't go for certain most popular streamers because those guys just do not give a fuck about that shit, right? Like Asmongold is not gonna have AOC
Yeah.
on his. What are they gonna do? Play WoW? No. It's not
Yeah,
gonna
PewDiePie
happen.
is not
He's just
gonna-
gonna call her trash all the time. PewDiePie isn't even on Twitch, right? But,
Oh
like,
fuck!
yeah,
That's how
but-
out of the loop I am with
yeah,
Zoomers.
he's on YouTube. He
Yeah.
streams on YouTube.
Yeah.
But
Wait, wasn't he on D Live as well, or
Maybe,
no?
maybe.
That was
I don't
back
know.
in the
I
day.
don't use DLive that much, so I can't speak on that. No.
Well, we're on DLive.
I do know that.
DLive.com/break the rules.
So go
for
make a
free.
DLive account right now and fucking subscribe to Break the Rules. Or I'll kill
Yes,
you,
please do.
in Minecraft. So yeah, that's what they're doing. They're using Pokemon's like audience, right? She's part of like a whole stream house thing. It's so weird. This is what I was talking about. It's so strange. It's like 6 of these people live in one fucking house. Pretty sure Alinity lives with them. So it's like,
God.
Yeah, like these are huge streams, and they all.
Can you imagine the
stream
fucked
together.
up shit that they do together?
So like while nobody's there, like without any, when the streams are all off, what happens in that house? Like how do those people like exist without thousands of people watching them all the time?
Yeah.
What do they do when they're not being observed by like
hate
hundreds of thousands
orgies?
of people? Yeah, it's so
well,
weird.
do they even exist when they're not
Exactly.
being
I
observed?
feel like
No, they
they're-
don't. They don't.
Yeah, it's like they're
Some
they're-
kind of
the wave-
abstraction.
The wave function.
Well, it's like I said on Twitter, like Hassan isn't a real person in terms of actual political beliefs.
this
He's
is
just some kind of
actually-
abstraction.
This is why I tell people so often to understand wrestling and understand martial arts and stuff like that, because these things map onto reality really, really well, right? But like Twitch is kayfabe; it's the same thing, right?
Yeah.
Doctor Disrespect is the best streamer to watch for this because that guy's literally been in character for like years on stream. He doesn't.
He
break
understands
character.
pro wrestling exactly.
Exactly. He doesn't break character, and it stays that way. You know what I mean? He understands what his job is, and that's to entertain people and provide gameplay, and that's what he does.
Yeah.
It's not. He doesn't try to have a fucking message. If he does that, he's kind of breaking character a little bit, and everyone in stream understands that that's the real guy talking, not Doctor Disrespect, right?
But,
so that's the way Trip is supposed to work.
Rosa said there's always sexual drama there. Yeah, I could imagine so
Oh, of
because you're
course.
basically competing.
Of
Like-
course, each
But
girl
also,
is supposed to be the hot streamer girl.
Yeah.
They have all those fucking legions of simps. It's just like
Yeah.
a weird.
They're not even that hot though. Like I mean,
no, they're not. These guys are just horribly desperate. People have said on Twitter, but the kitty, let's call it kitty cat inflation. Is
kitty.
very
Yeah,
real.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
very
It's
real.
true.
I don't understand.
What's
these
like
girls.
OnlyFans girls? They all look.
Look
They all
at
have
her.
like the chunkier like.
some of these
girl next
girls-
door.
It's not even about that, man. It's legitimately some of these
Wait,
just
kitty cat
unattractive.
inflation? Are you talking about Nala? No, I'm not gonna do it.
So-
I'm not
yeah,
gonna do it.
kind of sure. Oh God, Lev, I understood what you were saying.
Oh
Yeah,
no!
it hit me in my mind.
But yeah, he means the
I mean the
female anatomy inflation.
I
Yes.
understand. Yeah, but
Yeah.
kitty cat, come on, I had to take that one.
Oh god!
Yeah, but it's like that. It's like that. They get these they get these followings of dudes.
Like
who-
Twitter e-girls are kind of like that too. Let's not be
it's the
kidding
internet.
ourselves.
It's the internet. The internet is like that.
No, but then when you have a handsome fellow like Hassan, this was a point that was brought up by Charles.
I don't even think he's that
Carroll.
handsome, in my opinion.
Okay, no, but anyway.
He looks like a
how-
fucking tool. Like he looks like I could.
how Zoomer girls think attractive guys are supposed to
Yeah,
look.
exactly. He everything about him is like
Yeah,
an
he's like
abstraction.
the Donald Trump of
Yeah.
cool guys. You know
He's
what I
an
mean?
image of what a rich person looks like in
Exactly.
America.
Sure.
Exactly, which
But
is
the point-
hilarious considering.
But the point
who
that
he
I'm
is.
But the point that I'm getting
But like
to
his
here with-
voice, his face, his inflections,
Yeah.
it's like
Yeah, it's not
I
like
could probably
Vouch.
take him with one shot. You could
It's-
just like do that with Vouch
No,
and him,
he
like
seems
in
he's- no, no,
Minecraft.
I'm gonna be honest. The people's size, their body size, all of that stuff matters a lot. He's big. He's actually a big dude. So
Oh, who Vouch or
no. Hassan. Hassan's
Oh.
like
Yeah.
what? How tall is he? How much does he weigh?
I could
You guys
probably
imagine?
take him. I don't know.
Uh,
I don't know.
don't get hit. That's all I'd say.
we
You
gotta
know what I mean?
organize a oil wrestling match. I think
No, we need to
Turkish
just,
oil wrestling.
It's not even about like wanting internet blood sports. I just really think it would be so much easier to determine all of this stuff and who's right, who's interesting, who you should actually be listening to by watching them fight each other. And I don't even
Yeah.
mean like full on MMA. And you could do a sumo, you could do
Yeah.
pure wrestling, you could do anything like that. It's just to see how these people act under pressure when people
yeah.
are watching them, when people can humiliate them, when they're not in at their best moment. How do they act? Do they crack? What's wrong with them? Are they really as cool as they seem like they are? Because a lot of these guys, no, they're not. they're gonna bitch out instantly, and it would be fun to watch. Like I would, you know what? And you know what? If Vouch awakens the powerful man inside of him and lets out his Nala roar, and he turns into Mufasa, right? If he has that moment,
Yeah.
that would be great to watch too. I would be happy to see his triumph, the triumph of his spirit,
Yeah.
stopping being
I don't think it exists,
a
though,
boring
but yeah.
cuck man, and instead
Wait,
fight.
do you mean Simba Roar or Nala Roar?
No, I refer to him as Nala on purpose.
I don't think I don't think it's in him, to tell you the truth.
You know what?
I don't know.
We will never know until
we'll
it
never
happens. That's the point. That's why I want to see these things. Like it'd be fun. Like remember when what's it called was happening? The speaking of Brittany Venti, the He Will Not Divide Us.
Oh, Shia LaBeouf.
Yeah, everybody was going in person, right? You could actually see these people.
Yeah.
So it's like all of a sudden they became representatives, right? And if you remember correctly, the frogs all looked like kind of like normal people, but they weren't like these weird, disgusting troglodytes. They were like
we're disgusting troglodytes.
They
weren't the chuds that like Chapo sells.
My favorite guy was the guy who reenacted the Bane scene. Like that was incredible to watch him do that, right? That's to me, that's high class trolling. That's like what we kind of need to go back to instead of a lot of just like bitching and being fucking.
My
retarded.
favorite guy was the guy that would like at nighttime he stood there and he read Oswald Mosley's book on economics.
Yep.
He's like, because he had a particular voice. I'll never forget that guy. He's like, when in the exchange of money. It's like he had this fucking cadence. Oh man.
Powerful. Yeah, they become like I feel like that stuff is more cool. Even though yes, it forces you to have to like dox.
Yeah,
that's
obviously.
a bit of an issue. Did you guys just hear my cat? He just made
the best when Sam Hyde showed up there with Brittany Venti.
Oh my god, right?
He just like was mogging them, yeah.
By the way,
speaking of Sam's huge. He's my favorite. That's why I like Sam, because he's a big boy, and I know if it got to it, Sam would just crack.
Who do you think would win, Sam or Hassan?
Sam would beat that ass so bad, dog.
Wait, Sam wasn't Sam an actual fighter? Wasn't Sam?
No, he just lifted. He just lifted, and he's big. He's he wide shoulders.
Yeah, drinks gallons of milk while lifting. Yes,
he's a big guy, right?
But actually, speaking of Sam Hyde, Charles Carroll made that point on our stream. And by the way, I would love to have Charles back on soon. But Charles was making the point that a lot of these Twitch streamers, they're getting kids to consider landlords in a very particular light, just like as an example of this political influence. Yeah. So it does seem to me like, sure, you could say that Pokimane is there just for, their own benefit, but there is a slow and steady infusion, I believe, of certain influences that goes on in these networks.
Oh, fuck yeah.
Of course. The opinions of the streamers that these people watch become their opinions, man.
Oh, definitely.
The streamers know that. That's why they do what they do. That's why
notice how there's not a single like right-wing streamer on Twitch.
Because you can't be. You can't be. They will destroy you instantly. They will destroy you instantly because the fucking mods at
didn't like Fuentes try for like a day?
Do you remember that fucking deer person? Do you guys not remember that? The deer woman? The woman that was acting like a deer and saying that she was a deer? That's literally a Twitch
god.
Mod. That's a Twitch
literally
mod.
The head mod, yeah, the head Janny.
I don't know that she's head Janny, but she is a Janny. That's ridiculous. Are you kidding me? Why isn't there a weird
people like that would have starved in the streets in any other civilization?
Well, like if you're gonna have a deer woman, you also have to have one of those weird furry Nazi guys. You know what I mean? That's the only way that makes sense. Or else fuck off. You can't have weirdos of one side only.
That's what Twitch is, though. That's like
no, but that's no. And this is no. That's our shit. Sorry, that's our shit. And video games has always been our shit. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
And by the way, Remus, this is the only deer person that I approve of, and I think you'll agree with me.
Oh, nice.
Kernunos is pretty cool. Don't be approaching him. Don't approach him in the summer or the winter because he will kill you.
And by the way, this thing that he's holding in his arms.
Damn, I can't wait for autumn action.
That's his dude. He's smoking shisha because the Celtics are Phoenician.
It was on the neck of what is that sculpture called? The Dying Gaul. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Wait, are you talking about
Milkman
the thing on the left
but nobody watches
or the thing
them.
on the right?
No, I don't know. I could believe that Twitch is manipulating their algorithm.
Not the snake, but that.
The band.
The crescent thing that he's holding. Yeah.
You know what the problem?
The only thing. Wait. I just want
to
look
at the statue. If you look at the statue of the Dying Gaul, it's the exact same design.
That's called a torque, I believe. It's called a torque.
See, here it.
Yeah, it's called a torque. That's
the
thing that the Germanic tribes wore. It's very common. Yeah.
Wow, he looks like my friend Russell Walter.
It's like a spiritual.
Holy shit!
It's like their Vril container. I don't know how else I'm putting it in terms of people.
It
Everyone
looks
would
kind of
understand.
like those fitness bracelets.
Yeah,
that
it's,
people
I think
wear.
those are the same design, same basic physical design.
There you go.
The only thing that I've ever seen in person that is similar to this, like that I've actually touched, is my dad. Because my family's, again, we're from Africa, right? So the reminder of your roots is there. One of the things that my family had was, they were things that were used by slave owners back in the day in Angola, right? One of them was this band, right? This metal band that looked a lot like a torque that was designed to go around ankles. It's very heavy, right? It's designed to just hobble you, make you more less likely to be able to run. But it had this kind of design, of the twisted metal, heavy bolts on the end.
This is a different kind of design. I don't remember. It's called a tensor ring. This thing that I have over here. It's supposed to have some energy-giving abilities. I don't know if you've heard of this thing.
Oh yeah, that's old school, man.
Yeah, I don't know how that's
since the 80s.
Listen, I'm not one of the orgone guys because I just don't like that. The shit doesn't make any sense to me. But apparently, it's just like the composite, like the way that the object is designed, what its geometric shape is, all that stuff influences its energetic signature and all that shit.
Well, the only thing that I could say is that I probably shouldn't say too much about this ability, but basically
tell me your abilities right now.
I can let's just put it this, I'm very sensitive, okay? And I'm able to like
Lev,
coom on demand.
Lev.
Yeah.
Lev can coom on demand.
In Grappler Baki,
someone just touches him.
There's an arc where they bring Miyamoto Musashi back to life using like literally occultism and science. Like a shaman pulls his spirit down from the spirit world and puts it in his genetically recreated clone body. And one of the things that he can do is that he can cut people like with a sword mentally. Like they will feel the cut physically on their body, but there's no damage. And he does it to a guy that he's watching on TV. Like he's not even in the room. So what I'm saying, Lev, is if I cut you, would you feel it?
I don't know. We're gonna have to we'll have to find out. It reminds me of this, by the way, even though I know it's kind of a different thing. But
by psyops. Because physical wounds heal. Yes, exactly. Imagine if you were decapitated mentally, right? And
that's what Hassan is there for. That's what Vaush is there for, to decapitate people mentally.
Because physical wounds heal. That should be the tagline of BreadTube.
Exactly. In my opinion,
that should be TikTok.
The problem is that you need like a right-wing equivalent of like Hassan that isn't like a total fucking spirit. Like you need.
Nick Fuentes. But Nick Fuentes.
No, fuck no.
Legit. No. But he legitimately is because he's just as much of an annoying spirit.
Yeah, but how fucking sad is that? Like, I mean.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's how.
Like, you need someone like Hassan that is at least passable as a man, not some like.
It's Bronze Age pervert.
Oh no, but not the same reach though. I mean.
I know. But that's the beauty.
You need like a Bronze Age pervert equivalent of like a Twitch streamer. You need like a Twitch streamer that has like a mildly entertaining personality.
I don't think you can, because like you have guys like PewDiePie that kind of do that.
Yeah, but he's not like explicit. Like you need someone like Hassan that is like willing to say like, yeah, fuck, it's cool that you voted for Bernie. Now you got to vote for Biden. It's like. You gotta have like that degree of parasocial relationship where you're just like a little bot.
But I hate that. I can't.
I know, but that's how you gotta survive.
Like, morally,
in some ways, it can only exist because they're given cover by the establishment. Don't fucking kid yourself. Hassan is being paid off by some big established people.
You can't have people that are like, read Pentylink Cola, read Tech.
No,
you can't have people doing
Matt, go on Twitch, have like a fucking PewDiePie equivalent to be like, go and read Shall Man Prevail by Pentylink Cola.
Oh, yeah,
like that's not gonna happen. They're gonna crush you like a bug, bro.
Because they will inherit, even though you have outright Marxists. Who are peddling
that literally peddle genocide
and are saying it, who aren't even pretending that they aren't. They're like, no, actually it was good, which is kind of, by the way, kind of Giga Chat, I have to be honest, but it's not Giga Chat because they're not doing it against the will of the platform. The platform is allowing them to do so, and that's my point.
But that's the shame of it. Like that's like, I mean, I know it's like hypocrisy. It's like you can't even, it's like there's no point in bitching about it, but it's like, it really just is spiritually disempowering when you think about it that way.
Well, yeah, Hotep Jesus was talking about this earlier. It's like it's not, and I wanted to, when he was still here, address it, but I didn't have the time. It was the idea that you're getting cucked monetarily, right? The spiritual,
yes,
and the bank is doing it, right? But then also it's the idea that you can't even do anything about it, really. Like,
no,
it's not like, okay, I love, this is my favorite thing about Rome, and yes, Rome. If you counter signal Rome,
oh man, now I'm remembering naked Polly Walker.
Yeah,
but that's
I'm thinking about, so Rome.
I don't know about that.
Within the city.
The thing is, like, Borzi, he's too marginalized to be like on that level. He's been destroyed. Yeah. Like all that, like the whole crew, they can't, like, they're being prevented from reaching that level.
And they've also been tainted with ink in a way that's impossible.
Yeah,
to
and
get
Borzi's
out.
been doxxed. That's another thing too. Is he's had, like, people went after him to the extent that they wanted to destroy his whole family. Right? That's, you know what I mean. That's the fuck of it. Like, that's. It's just so fucking evil when you think about it. So evil.
That show was really good.
Oh, what show? Yeah. Oh, that was
Rome, man. Rome,
yeah.
It was incredible. But okay, wait.
If I was there, by the way, if I had a time machine, I would go back in time. I would figure out a way to get on the set, and I would have been there when they had her naked scene in the pool there.
Why don't you just take a time machine and go back in time to ancient Rome and have sex with an ancient Roman woman?
Well,
that'd be better.
This is nostalgia for me, but anyway.
It's about her. It's about
her.
Okay.
Yes,
okay. Star-crossed
I don't even know how we could get into contact with Soph. I don't know.
Maybe there's still a way I can meet her. I mean, they're at a certain point, yeah.
Lev, I believe I will manifest this.
Thank you.
With my powers. Okay.
I wonder if her channel would get fucked if we had Soph on.
Oh, is that the little girl?
I mean, no, she's way too little right now. I mean, look, let's see what happens with her later on as she grows.
That shit's weird, though, man. There's something creepy about that. There's some, like,
isn't she on Gavin McGinnis's thing now?
Dude, Gavin, what is that guy even doing? What is that?
Yeah, what does he even do now?
What is that?
Apparently he moved out of New York.
He's like, Proud Boys. Also, I'm gonna show my asshole on YouTube.
Yeah, but he disowned them now.
But like, that's the point.
Asshole.
It's like, imagine making the Proud Boys and then also disowning them,
and then never having anyone let you down. Like,
it just doesn't make any sense. He's like a strategic.
I never to tell you the truth. I always thought Gavin was just an agent of chaos.
He's well. Anybody who remembers old Vice magazine? Because anybody? Is anybody old enough for that? All of you people in chat.
They used to be semi-based at. They used to have like some really crazy.
Yeah, I remember like the Vice Guide to Travel.
It was true. Yeah. It was trying to show you what the world actually was versus what the news portrays things as. Right? Like showing you the seedy underlife and underbelly of your city is actually kind of cool because it shows you what the people actually are.
And you're a penumbulist,
exactly, right? So the cool part about Vice is that they did that kind of for the whole world, right? And it was interesting in that regard.
They had a whole
now it's just NPR for hipsters, for activist hipsters.
It's true. It's true.
And that's slowly the line is blurring even more.
I'd like to tell you the truth. I don't know why they went after like the Proud Boys so hard. Like, what the fuck did they really do? I don't know.
Oh no, they're just AstroTurf, man.
Listen, guys,
I think they're feds.
I have to go.
They for sure are.
I have to go. I have to go.
Oh shit, I have to go too. Yeah, I gotta.
We all have to go.
Thank you so much. And by the way, big thank you to Ricky Green for the 75. You were not boring in the least. You were always amazing, as you always are.
I lifted before stream too.
Dude, I can see the power coursing through you unironically. I see your aura.
No, it's true.
Look at you, dude. It's like Super Saiyan. Look at your hair.
I got half a cinder block.
Let's go.
And then I got a full like 50, but like the old school, like that my grandfather made, 50-pound cinder block.
Dude, let's fucking go.
Nice.
Bring Emily Yuka. I want to bring Emily Yuka. I don't know if Lev was comfortable with that.
I got high with Emily Yuka back in 2016.
I used to talk to her regularly on Discord, but I have to see like people I know that know her. So maybe one day.
Joke, but that's just,
all right, guys, listen. This is the end of the stream. I really got to go now. Take care, everybody.
I know she's married.
Later.
Take care, everybody.
God bless and goodbye to Sweet.